Torpedo Bat is also his nickname for his junk. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get a man to get on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Leonarda and I saw each other several weeks ago at the end of doing some fun shows over there.
Yeah, that's a great venue. Talk about a free speech venue, huh?
Yeah, I've said it many times in that regard. It's fun. It's kind of raucous. It's a little rock and roll-y.
Yeah.
The crowd sits right up against the edge. You know, the stage has a long table, like a bar, that just runs the whole length of it. And people have their drinks basically right up on the edge of the strength. It's in OC and,
South. It's
South Bay?
South Bay.
Yeah,
it's called The End.
The End. It's fun. And I don't know if you've found this, but I find that, you know, when you go on the road, oh, God, I just did 20 minutes in Beverly Hills, and I haven't done anything locally in a million years, and this was a kind of country club Beverly Hills crowd, and I just got up there and said like 2.5 jokes, and I was like, ugh, fuck, I forgot you fucking uptight you assholes were. I'm used to traveling and playing to my crowd, you know. But you tell me if you find this. You can go to places that are more sort of red and I don't even want to go Republican, Democrat, just more into free speech and ideas and non-judgmental. Their panties aren't in a bunch. You can go to Oklahoma City and Wisconsin and stuff. You can go those places, but if you find a bastion of that here in LA, in California, they hit even harder. They're even more ready
because you're drawing from people who are in a market that don't get served.
Right.
And these people exist. Like everybody thinks LA is all a bunch of blue hippies and stuff.
Right,
it's not. There's a lot of right-wing people who are free speech and even like non-right-wing people who are free speech and they're not getting it.
Right. So what you're getting is kind of pent up.
Yeah.
Versus a place that would be righter, redder, leaning, who was like, well, that's just every day for us. Right. They're not getting served.
Yeah, they're not getting served. I actually think it's kind of across the board that people on the right aren't getting served because if you look at the major comedy providers like Netflix and all the specials that are out there, they keep putting up this trans, non-binary, some kind of ethnic, and they want to just throw that in your face. And people really tuned out of that kind of comedy, you know?
Well, I think economically they're waking up. In terms of Disney and Netflix and Bud Light or whomever, like they were full steam ahead and somehow COVID kind of weaponized them. Like they were already jogging down that road toward equality and equity and DEI and everything. Somehow COVID made them sprint. Like they saw an opening and they're like, now we can go headlong into our nutty nonsense, man. You know, men are women and women are men, and you can't define. It's like every crazy idea they got a big scoop of creatine in it from COVID. I don't know why, but COVID like left some. It made teachers go nuts. It made politicians go nuts. It made everybody in power go nuts.
They were drunk with power.
Yes.
It was communism on steroids because what was the message that they kept saying over COVID? Hey, I don't care if you don't want to take the vaccine. Take it for me and my sick grandma. So that's communism. Communism's about how you have to think about others over yourself. And they legislate it. So these people were drunk with power.
Yes. So it sped up during COVID. And then in the last 10 minutes ultimately, these people have no principles. It's mostly all about money. If you're Disney, if you're a corporation, it's about money. If you're a politician, it's about getting reelected. So lo and behold, now you have all these politicians go, whoa, I wanted to close the border, or I didn't want to shut the schools, or I love fracking. You know, they just changed. They changed their story. just like Gavin Newsom, and all these companies like Disney are starting to wake up. They're, go woke, go broke, and they're all going to change and steer it back a little. So it's happening, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I am a little bit more conspiratorial, so I do think they have an ideology. I think they have a agenda where their whole thing is destroy the West.
Oh, I believe they have an ideology in the micro, like the chick who ran Bud Light was an ideologue, Ivy League. She was bought and paid for. She was done with. But Bud Light as an entity wants to make money. Yeah. She, this person over at Disney is into trans whatever, but Disney globally wants sales.
Yeah, but what you have happening is those companies even themselves represent, Western accomplishment, right? So you've got this tribe of people who found each other through their mental illnesses, and they infiltrate all of these organizations. They've infiltrated all the college organizations. Why is it that every college student comes out, a Marxist, and by the way, uglier than they went in?
I think you guys are overthinking it, because I think that corporations are just like uncool dads who are listening to whoever is the marketing genius of the day. So this one had blue hair, so you listened to her for a while, but now everyone went, too much.
But how did she get in there? How did they all get into all these positions where they could change these things?
I'll give you a simple analogy. The teaching profession attracts people with a kind of socialist mindset.
Now.
Yeah, now. Meaning, what is teaching? What is tenure? Like, what is this place? Well, you show up. It's not results oriented. It doesn't matter how the kid's doing the math or testing, reading or whatever. You're going to get paid, and we'll make it impossible to fire you. So it's essentially like a socialist kind of job.
Yeah,
it is not an entrepreneurial job.
You're correct.
It is the opposite of going, I'm going to start my own bakery and right in the middle of downtown, but I got to get there early and make the dough at 3 a.m. It is the opposite. It is maximum days off. Maximum days off.
Maximum benefits,
maximum days off.
Maximum lack of results.
Zero results and zero accountability when no results pour in, which is exactly the opposite of you starting your own bakery. You can start your own bakery and go, I'm taking Mondays off, or I'm taking a me day. Okay, no money for you. COVID comes around, bakery guys got to go to work. Teachers, we're all staying home. So it attracts people that have that mindset. It's not an entrepreneurial mindset. And then those people have to impart information to young people who don't have the information. What angle do you think they're going to approach history from, or economics, or anything else when that's their mindset? And by the way, they don't know anything because they've never been in the real world.
Yeah.
They've lived in this sort of false gravity world. And I've said, and then you expect them to not graft on their feelings onto kids, and it's mostly women, and that's an impossibility for young women. It's an impossibility not to know what she's thinking about or who she voted for, or meat is murder, like whatever the fucking shit she's thinking about. Women can't do that.
Women and low testosterone males.
Right. Cannot not indoctrinate. But also, as I've said, a little thought experiment. What if it was, forget about ideology or, politics. What if it's just, we only hire vegans? Like mostly vegan teachers. They're mostly vegan teachers. Well, at some point, the cafeteria would want to serve up meatloaf, and these people go, I don't think that's a good idea,
Right.
And then some kid would be in the back of the class, he'd open a Slim Jim, and they'd go, Tommy
is an extremist.
Do you know how offensive that can be to me and others who are in?
He's a white supremacist extremist.
The others, there may be 2 out of 25 teachers that's not vegan, but they learn to keep their fucking mouth shut because they don't want to target on their back, and they're not bringing a pot roast into the break room. Yeah. They're bringing tofurkey in because they would go, I don't want to be fucking cast out. I don't want to be attacked. I saw another guy
Right.
came in here and he ate a meatloaf sandwich and they terrorized, they wrote a swastika on his locker in the lounge. You know what I mean? So then now at a certain point, the kids are vegan, the teachers are vegan, it's a recruitment center. It's just the way it goes. So that's where we're at.
But a lot of that goes back to the takeover of the teachers' unions in
Yes.
the 60s and the 70s, where they were infiltrated by communist leaders who wanted specifically to dismantle the school system to the point where, you had a lot of kids who were acting out and things that like beating up teachers, setting teachers on fire. This is in the schools of New York City. And what came down from the teachers union is, because they were from like a minority group that needed to be protected, was, hey, don't discipline the kids, just let them do what they got to do. It's a tough time for them right now. So then, you have that kind of instituted policy along with what you're talking about, this sort of Marxist ideology of you're going to have your job no matter what. Don't worry about the results. This is what we want. And so it does come from a kind of top-down level. And then what kind of teachers are they going to hire? They're not hiring. Like when I went to high school many years ago, I was in a, mostly white town, conservative white town. I had like plenty of male teachers who had good families. They talked about their families. They were intelligent. And some of them were conservative. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think most of them were conservative. So I had a split of male and female teachers. There wasn't a whole lot. And the female teachers weren't doing a lot of this. They were older.
Yeah.
They were like in their 40s and 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
They didn't have this like, we need to like control these minds, I was actually taught to think for myself. I was asked to critically reason things.
Yeah, well, the other thing that happened is this stuff used to start in college, and now somebody figured out
we can get there earlier.
we got to crate train these pups, man. Let's get them early.
Yep.
Because they won't give us a hassle.
Yeah,
in
I mean, that's the
college.
whole point of them doing race education in like young, like third graders, telling the white kids about their guilt, sex ideology.
Yeah, it's really, it's I wish any of it worked. I think if any of it worked, I would be down with more of it. Like
worked in which sense?
I
Like
just
made
mean
better?
5 years ago was defund the police.
Oh, right.
And it's been 5 years. And if somebody said, we took the Minneapolis Police Department, we pulled them way back, and we ended up saving the taxpayers, millions of dollars each year, and we implemented community policing, and violence went down, and car theft went down, and domestic beatings went down, I'd go, okay, good.
Yeah.
But it's never that.
It's actually
always
the opposite.
It's always the district select woman who spearheaded the defund the police thing just got jacked at the park by
Which,
knife
by
point.
the way, is amazing. That was something I was watching during COVID, which just felt like you reap what you sow in like unbelievable real time. Like usually it takes years. I remember there was like one very left politician in New York City who was advocating for criminals to have no cash bail, and it's sad, he got stabbed and killed by a criminal in the middle of the street, and his girlfriend from wherever the heck she was from just watched it and then said she didn't want to press charges because she didn't want to enforce racial stereotype. I was like, you reap what you sow. It was kind of unbelievably amazing.
That's funny that you brought that up, because I was saying to Dr. Drew about 6 months ago, I go, bad policy used to take a decade to really wash over us. Like they'd go, Prop 13, the property taxes or something, and then it'd be years later where we'd go, we got screwed by Prop 13. Who's the guy? Oh, he's dead.
Right.
Whoever governor, whoever, he retired 6 years ago or whatever it is. Like it took a long time for bad policy to fuck us up. Now it's kind of real time. Like go appoint this horrible DA to your city, crime starts immediately, violence goes up, and defund the police or bad COVID policy. Like it is real-time bad results, which used to take a long time. But COVID was 10 minutes ago, and now all the kids that were locked down for 2 years are mentally ill. Like it used to take a study to follow the guy for 30 years. Now it's like, oh, no, we screwed up in real time.
I think, again, I am a little bit more conspiratorial and spiritually minded. I do think that's God being like, here you go. You're going to see it you can't even ignore this. There can't be even any plausible deniability. I'm going to show you it happened exactly right away. Like I forgot who's that comedian, Heather something, when she was on stage and she was like, I got triple boosted or whatever. And she's like, I guess Jesus just loves me more. And immediately she's like hit with a stroke. And I was like, all right.
What?
Yeah. Like,
I didn't see that.
Let's Heather McDonald.
Heather McDonald.
I don't remember what her actual name was.
It's Heather McDonald. And she would collapse mid-act.
Mid-joke.
Right after saying that, literally, she says that statement and she goes, oh, and everybody's like freaking out and she hits the floor. She hits her head.
But you're saying God came down from heaven and gave her myocarditis?
No, I think God was letting the repercussions of people's actions happen in a much faster timeline.
She bonked her head on the stage. It was bad.
I'm not, there you go.
Oh my God.
We'll put the sound up, by the way. Sound. Thank you.
Brag, I don't care, but I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes. Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously.
Ooh.
So nice. So nice.
There we go.
Oh.
All right.
That was crazy, right?
That was pretty bad, yeah.
Right after immediately he lets her say her whole speech.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, but are we giving
What
her...
about all those times God knocked you out, mayhem?
I never did. Never got knocked out.
You never got knocked out?
Not once, bud.
Oh, sorry.
I've experienced it myself where I say something stupid or whatever, and then immediately, like a little later that day, I'll get the repercussions
Listen
of my
here,
actions.
she got no standing, ain't count nothing, bud. She's flat out. Oh,
Yeah.
I hope she's okay, but man.
Oh, yeah,
I think
she
she's
is.
okay.
She's okay.
But there she was, and it's like revelation right away. You say, okay, great. This is actually what it looks like when you get all those shots.
Yeah,
So-
Jesus get you with a left hook.
By the way, very funny stand-up. You were rocking that room
thank you.
at the end. I think you went on right before me?
Yeah, right before you.
And I was like a little bit nervous because I was backstage. I don't have my finger on the pulse of comedy, of stand-up comedy. I know less names, less people, less background, less
think
history,
you're better off for it.
less controversy. Everyone's always like, you know her, she's the one. She's getting canceled, but she's so out there. She's fired from a cannon, man. This crowd, and I was like, oh, is she going to just rock these guys for 15 or 20 minutes and then I'm going to have to go out there?
They loved you.
Yes.
That was no problem for you. They loved you. I think I might have been a little too over the line for some.
It was pretty crazy, but they loved you. And then I was sort of backstage, and other comedians were like, "Yeah, she's been canceled. She sold out shows. They canceled comedians. Always the saddest thing.
Sad.
I always said." I said during COVID, I said, when you got the comedians, now you got everybody. And comedians giving real serious sanctimonial speeches about this stuff, I was like, oh, you're comedians.
It's pathetic.
The comedians called some of the clubs you were booked at and sold out at, right?
Yep.
And
Actually,
got them to cancel the show?
Yeah, it was a whole coalition across from like Boston to California. I'm not even kidding. And it's people that nobody knows because I had like big name comics who know me. I mean, this was going on and I had, in the middle of getting canceled, I was featuring for Russell Peters. And he was like, it's funny. He's like, I only think they're coming after you like this because you're actually funny.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, if you weren't funny, nobody would care.
No, it is true. You pose a greater threat when you're actually good.
Yeah, and I'm going up against all the propaganda that's been shoved down our throats for, I think, at least the last 30 years, which I myself had swallowed, by the way.
Oh, I was going to ask, what is there a trajectory for you? Because a lot of people, especially younger ladies, attractive ladies, they start off this way.
Yeah,
you know?
very left.
You went to college.
I went to college. I went to a Jesuit university. I went to Fordham, which is a great school, and they weren't like that, especially when I went. This was a longer, many years ago before this whole thing happened. But I still came out a bit more left. That wasn't really it. I was living in New York City, and I was with a bunch of, girls who just kept going more and more left, and you don't really notice it. You're kind of going with the ocean. The ocean's taking you out. You don't notice it. All of a sudden, you realize you're in too deep. And that moment for me was, I was in a 12-step recovery program, and they had a women's only meeting, and which made sense because we had some things that we had to deal with as women that made our addiction what it was. So that was a space to talk about it.
What was your drug of choice?
I was a compulsive overeater. Some haters would say I still am, but
my mom went to OA too.
Yeah, it was actually horrific. Like, people think it's kind of funny, but I literally wanted to kill myself before going in because it just occupied. I felt like I didn't know there was a recovery program for it, but one of my friends was an alcoholic and he went into recovery for AA, and then he told me his story, and I was like, everything you just said you do with alcohol, I do with food and dieting. So I was like, let me get that book. I started reading the book. I started crying because for the first time I was like, there's other people who experience what I've experienced. This is addiction. And then I was just going to go to an AA meeting because I didn't know there was any OA meetings. And I just looked up 12-step meetings. And at the bottom was Overeaters Anonymous. And again, I just started weeping. I could not believe. At that point in my life, I was 23. I thought, I'm the only person who does this with food. It's so shameful and disgusting. I'm pathetic, horrible human being.
What was it that you were doing, if you don't mind?
I don't mind. It was a total body obsession, and you try to you feel all this pressure, especially at that time we didn't have all this fat acceptance, so you really had to be skinny.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like normal. They're always fucking with girls' minds, by the way. And at this point, it was like the super anorexic was the look, you know, and there was look at me, there's no way I was going to be that. So I would the way it started with me, I would start these like really extreme diets. Like, I'd be running 6 miles a day and drinking nothing but like this Master lemonade thing, which is like lemon, water, cayenne pepper, and a little maple syrup. So and then losing crazy amounts of weight, not being able to maintain that because your body reacts, and then going on crazy binges, just stuffing yourself past any point of being able to sense.
What was your weapon of choice in the binge?
Sweets, cake, ice cream, cookies. And it would always start with this obsession about something. Like, I remember one time I was in college, and all of a sudden I got into my mind that I needed this particular cheesecake from a particular place in New York City. Now, it's the middle of a snowstorm. It's a blizzard. And I go outside my dorm and I see these people smoking outside, and I was like, addicts. Meanwhile, I go from the Bronx, get on the subway, ride an hour train in the middle of a blizzard so I could go to this one store to get a particular cheesecake because you have this, the unconscious thing is it's going to solve whatever issue you have. Like, once you get that, and it's all about like feeling a sense of your own power. Like, I can do this, when you don't feel power in all these other areas. And then getting it, and then immediately hating myself and going, well, now since I've already done this, I might as well eat all 3,000 calories of shit.
Yeah.
And that was my life from 16 to about 24. And by the time I got to the end of it, it was so horrible that I thought, and I was fat at this point. I was fatter. I was like 227 pounds.
Hot.
Thank you. And the black guys thought so. And I was like, I don't care if I never lose another pound again. I cannot live like this. If this is what I have to face for the rest of my life, I'm going to kill myself. Oof. And then I found there was OA.
What do they teach you at OA?
So they teach all different kinds of things. You know, it really started to get poisoned near the end, where it started becoming fat acceptance. And if you wanted to lose weight, it was clear that your disease was acting up again. I was like, bitch, this is called Overeaters Anonymous. We're here because we're fat.
Right.
You know, but I had a great sponsor. He was an older black guy in his like 60s who had been over 600 pounds and was maintaining almost a 400-pound weight loss at 2:30.
Al Roker was your sponsor?
Yes, and he would do the weather sometimes during our 12 step. But he taught me harm reduction.
Carson Daly taught me how to love, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
He taught me harm reduction. I heard him sharing in a meeting. He said, I knew I had recovery when, my sponsor said to me, okay, what are you eating? And he goes, I'm eating 2 whole fried chickens, 2 buckets of fried chicken. And his sponsor said, hey, do you think you could eat 1 bucket and be okay? And he was like, actually, yeah. And that was what I started. So I was like, I'm eating a whole cake. And he'd be like, do you think you could eat half a cake and be okay? And I was like, actually, yeah. And then you start to get kind of more normal.
I've been saying this to people for a long time, and it's not attractive. But I would say to my friends, they go, "Oh, I'm gonna quit smoking at the first of the year," and I'd go, "Well, why don't you what are you smoking now? Like a pack a day? All right, there's 20 in a pack. Yeah, why don't you just knock it down to 15 a day and see how that works?" No, I'm doing the first. I go, I don't know, but meanwhile, you could just knock it down, and it's really unattractive. That kind of, it's like pragmatic. It's not fun. If it was a movie, it'd be super boring,
right?
And it's just no good, And the cayenne with the lemon juice and the stuff. I've had so many fucking conversations, especially with women that go, I'm going to order my bone broth diet. And I go, how about you just fucking tone it down with the eating a little bit and move a little bit more? And they're like, no. Monday I start with and I'm like,
it's the flip side of the obsession. That's why.
Right.
It's the flip side of the obsession.
Right. You're trying to fix something with some weird alchemy, and it's more of the same. It's just in the other direction.
Because you're still obsessed with food on the other side.
Yeah, you're now obsessed with some weird diet that you have to subscribe to that's going to show up at your door.
You're doing that. You're thinking about what you're going to eat when this ends and how you're going to get that.
Right.
But it's way different to be like, I'm going to have a piece of cake once a week on Sundays in the afternoon. And then you go, I could live like that.
You will then, and you can actually enjoy the cake that way too, instead of sort of obsess over it.
So not sexy, but saved my life. Saved my life.
Cheat day. You just eat whatever you want. Yeah, and then the rest of the time you're salad.
That would never work for somebody like me.
Oh, really?
Because my brain just if you give me a day where I could just eat wherever I want, then Monday comes around, I go, well, I can't stop.
You'll go on a cheesecake bender.
Yeah, and it's insane. But what happened was, in this recovery program that had been so important, that had saved my life, politics started to slip in.
Yeah. Really?
People started sharing about how they were so distraught that Trump had won. And I put my hand up because I wasn't pro-Trump at that point at all. I was actually anti-Trump. And I was like, hey, you're actually jeopardizing people's recovery. Like, lives are on the line here. Right. And you're talking about stuff that actually isn't relevant. And the thing that really got me, is I was in this all-women's program, supposed to be all about like women and everything. And then trans women started coming in.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, I hadn't quite confronted that. I had been just sort of swallowing because I knew there was no benefit to me stepping out across this tribe of women.
Right.
That I was going to have a target on my back, right? But I felt inside, I was like, this isn't right. He never got a period.
Right.
He doesn't know what it's like for your hips to come in and then all of a sudden your body dysmorphia to start.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got his own stuff, but this isn't it.
Right.
And it kind of broke me. And then once that broke, where I finally I was like, I don't care what, I remember this moment, I don't give a fuck what they say. That's a fucking man. I don't care how many fucking people are saying this. I'm done pretending. And it was like vomiting stuff that I had swallowed, and it started the unraveling, where I started investigating things and started seeing how much the media lied to us, and started seeing like, I have my criticisms of Trump's policies. I do. But at that point, I realized he wasn't this demon they were making him out to be. And I realized what he was doing was going up against a 40, 50-year machine that was pushing the country in a certain direction. And he suddenly was speaking up and making people feel like they weren't alone. Because the big thing is not just to push the propaganda, but because there's going to be people who see through it, to make you believe you're pretty much in the minority and you don't have a shot in hell fighting this.
Yeah, it's effective. I mean, like I said.
But he showed people that wasn't true, and that's a threat to the system.
Hey, home chef, you find yourself eating the same thing over and over again? When you're feeling burnt out, well, you don't have time to search for new meals, pick out ingredients, and learn how to cook something new. Yeah, it's time consuming. Home Chef gets it and is here to make meals easier and healthier, along with tons of variety. Home Chef has over 30 options a week and serves a variety of dietary needs. Plus, Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. I know. When's the last time you got out of the supermarket for like under $200? Users of leading meal kits have rated Home Chef number one in quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. One I tried recently that I liked was a walnut rosemary yellowtail with mashed cauliflower. Excellent. It's Home Chef, right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering Adam's listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/Adam. That's homechef.com/Adam for 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
I always flash back on this conversation I had with Tucker Carlson, 7 or 8 years ago, and he just was interviewing me here, and he said, when's it all end? And I said, when we stop apologizing. Just
Correct.
Stop apologizing. And now go from not apologizing to ridicule. And that's what it started. You have to ridicule these people. You literally have to make fun of them, and it works pretty effectively. And now we're going from the not apologizing phase to the ridicule
Welcome to the
phase.
show.
Yeah.
Yes, and here we are. But they're also, their stuff is so easily ridiculed.
But it's always been easily ridiculed.
I
Why
know,
didn't
but
we
everyone
do
was
it?
scared. Well, first off, sister,
30 years over here.
during COVID, did not go along with the plan. I ridiculed the plan and called everyone pussies.
Great.
And
Excellent.
I was on the offense. And Dr. Drew would say, I don't get why you have to be insulting. Like, why can't you just disagree and say, I don't think it kills healthy young kids, and not... I would end everything with, hey, sheep, get under the bed, pussy. Everyone was your pussy. I called everybody a pussy.
Yeah.
And because I realized it wasn't enough to just sort of backpedal a little bit and go, let's just let bygones be bygones here. You have to go forward because
Correct.
all they do is encroach. All they do is move forward. It's not enough for them that they get vaccinated. They need you vaccinated. And then if you don't get vaccinated, you need to get fired and you need to be removed from your livelihood. And it's like, I realize, it's bully behavior. The bully beatdown man knows. You just covering up in the corner you're still going to get punched. You got to start throwing.
I think you're fully...
And I went 100%. I called so many people sheep, so many people pussies, so many people cowards. That's all I did.
Yeah.
All through COVID. And it was not easy sledding.
No,
People
no.
hated me.
Yeah, no, I believe that. I mean, I went through that. I lost a couple of social media accounts because I was calling it out, and I was calling out people who were... I was also calling out people who were complying by having fake vaccine cards and going to things. I was like, no. You cannot give this to them. Let them suffer from you not showing up.
Right.
And then I had started the ridicule before it was cool. I was making fun of all these women who were transitioning their children.
Oh, good.
And that stripped my first account. It was
They dropped you for that?
yeah, and
From
it went
Instagram or
Instagram and Facebook. It went into the gulag, and then I'd go appeal it on Instagram, and it was like, no, sorry, you have to appeal it on Facebook. And then I'd go appeal it on Facebook, and they'd be like, this account doesn't exist here. If it's an Instagram account, try to go to Instagram. And it was...
So you bring up a lot of this in your comedy. I don't know. Again, there's comedy that's harsh. I mean, tough. And that's fine. You know, there's jokes about 9/11 and stuff like that. There's a lot of, jokes that are tough jokes, which are fine. I mean, historically, it's been that way. I don't know why or when it became okay or acceptable to police other people's comedy, which is another left thing, which I've had comedians come on I've had guys come on after my set and talk about my set, which is fucking insane. Because
insane.
I would never Mark Maron did that to me at the Comedy Store. Like, I don't agree with Mark Maron, but I would never go on after him and start breaking down his set.
He did a reaction video on stage?
Yes. I was like, but you have to be a pompous ass. Because basically it's, listen, you think this way, I think that way. By the way, I'm all ears. You tell me what I got wrong about COVID. Tell me what I got wrong, because I've been yelling about this for years. Tell me what I got wrong. I'm not wrong. So not only are you making fun of my shit, but I happen to be correct. But fine, but I would never dream of policing your set, and I certainly wouldn't dream of calling the manager of Magooby's Joke House and telling him to cancel you. I wouldn't even think to do it, but I wouldn't think to tell you to put on a mask if I was walking by you on a trail. All these things, I wouldn't key your Tesla. It's none of my business.
So you think it's a whole crew of comics that got you canceled?
No, I know it is.
Oh.
Yeah, because they were bragging about it. They were launching their campaign. They were putting it up on their stories.
And they didn't like your material.
Yeah, they didn't like my material. Also, I'm pretty edgy on Twitter. I say real edgy stuff to provoke people. I mean, it's the thing that works on Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
And they don't have the guts to do it. And a lot of what I say is pretty true. So that really pisses them off. But Michael Rappaport called one of the clubs. I just called him out for it because I know the club owner told my agent, you know, he was like, I can't have her because now Michael Rappaport called and said, hey, if you have her on, I'm not going to do your club anymore. And I'm going to make sure that none of my friends do.
Why? Because you said death to Israel?
I hadn't yet, but he already didn't like me calling out things that I didn't like about Israel's their policy. And then it just took a couple of edgy tweets for him to be like, I now have the leverage I need to get her off.
Canceled.
Yeah. And he's, you know, these are people, you know, he's a leftist who's now saying like, oh, he kind of likes Trump. Why? Because the tide has turned so much and now you want to jump ship? No. Go down with the ship that you built. But a lot of these people, what I think the issue is that number one, this is what I noticed. So I went and looked at some of these people. I got death threats from some of these comedians who told me they were going to stomp me out. Calling me out on this stuff, talking about how I'm like a racist and as if, because that's the number one like immortal sin you can commit in our globalist society, by the way.
Right.
So I went and looked them up, and virtually every single person I looked up had a criminal record.
Really?
Had a couple of them had warrants out for their arrest. They had drunk driving, and one of them was a stripper who's calling me immoral. And I go, you literally show your asshole for money to men you don't know. Do you think that you have...
That's just on Wednesdays.
Do you think that you have... So then I realized, because I really couldn't understand this, I'm like, how could you have that level of hypocrisy? And then I understood. Because when you do shit like that you actually... I think every human being does know what's right and what's wrong, even when they're committing it. You know you actually are morally unjustified. You know you're doing bad things. But nobody can actually think... who thinks that they're a bad person? There's nobody who thinks they're a bad person.
No, sadly. And then, leave it up to me. I'll tell you who's bad.
Yeah, and then they want to, in order to reconcile themselves to the idea that they're still a good person, they have to find someone that they consider way more morally reprehensible than them.
Yes.
And the system already gives them a narrative that's real easy to do. And I play the heel a lot in comedy by being that person. That's kind of how I kind of provoke people, is being the heel, even though I'm actually quite nice to people outside of that. You know, I make fun of fat people a lot on stage, but obviously I have a lot of compassion because I fucking was super fat, you know?
I'm that way with smart people. I make fun of smart people all the time.
Because you're really smart.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So they have a prescribed track that gives them all of a sudden, they're going from being this immoral person who is beating up their wife or drunk driving or selling their asshole, take the elevator express because I'm going to jump on the ship of calling out this racist, anti-Semite, homophobe, whatever they want to throw at me.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the whole social structure will award them with ribbons.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting time we're living in because we're obsessed with safety, but also calling everyone a hero. and everyone is strong and everyone's a hero and
Strong
everyone's
woman.
fighting. Everyone's
Yeah.
fighting. No one's fighting like mayhem fights. Not like I used to fight. We used to fight. No one's fighting anything. You standing in front of a Tesla dealership on a Sunday is not you fighting anything. It's you with like-minded idiots doing nothing. And so we're fearful. People are scared as shit. I mean, people are just pussies. They are fucking scared. I don't know what's going on, but they're. I think it's from sort of not growing up like handling tools or handling yourself or getting into situations. People are super safety, crazy, paranoid, fearful. But we still have some sort of Disney version of ourselves, like that. Well, I'm a hero, and I stood up, but with no repercussions. Like, okay, you called Trump a tyrannical dictator, and you told him to suck your dick online, but nothing's ever going to happen to you. Now, if he really was a tyrannical dictator and you told him to suck dick online, then he would take you to a gulag somewhere, chain you to a radiator, and you'd be beaten in darkness for the next 20 years. So they don't actually believe it, and they don't fear it. But what I'm saying is, hey, ballsy guy, how about you start talking shit about Islam? They're fucking... They're scared shitless to say anything about Islam because Islam will Charlie Hebdo you. They will come over there and fucking... Yeah, go ahead. Make fun. You make fun of every other religion. Go ahead and do Muhammad. Oh, you won't because you're fucking coward. They make fun of the shit that they know no one's ever going to do anything. They do all this virtue signaling.
Well, it's easy virtue. It's easy,
but I'm saying if you actually do things like you are engaged in behavior that is a little risky, you go out and race a car or roll with some MMA, jiu-jitsu or what have you, break a sweat, like you do something, you go whitewater rafting down a steep, waterfall or something. If you really do that, you don't really feel the need for this stuff. These people sit at home and they're trying to sort of justify themselves, and it's real easy to attack, comedian, whatever. You would not talk shit. Like, let's put it to you this way. There are guys historically that if you talk shit about them would actually come over and beat the shit out of you.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Fuck with him on an airplane. He's gonna tune you up.
Right.
Okay, but it's real easy to just make fun of this politician or that comedian or whatever, virtue signal in front of everyone. Meanwhile, you get plaudits from your tribe and nothing ever happens to you.
Right. It's easy virtue. There's no risk and it's all reward in your mind.
Except for it's empty calories, man.
Yeah,
I don't get the empty calories.
Well, that's why they
part of
need
it.
more and more of it. Because
I guess you're right.
Now they're over there with their thumbs getting their adrenaline up. Yeah.
Yes.
But you're right about that because these were grown men who were sending me death threats. Meanwhile, there are actual male comedians who've said exact same things I've said and worse. They were able to play those clubs, no problem. Anthony Rappaport didn't call the club and say, if you have these people on.
Because they got an ill
Michael
left jab and
Rappaport,
hook.
sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Michael Rappaport.
Anthony would work. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, you get Gina Carano fired from her fucking Disney show. Like, okay, hero, you're such a hero.
Why didn't you get the guy who was the Nickelodeon producer who was a known pedo? Right. Why didn't you get him fired?
How about you pipe up about Weinstein, or you're worried about your next job, bitch? So shut up.
None of them were talking about Weinstein when he was in charge, but afterward, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Right. So it would actually take some huevos to talk shit about Weinstein when he was running Hollywood because it would affect you directly.
Right.
And that's what we call character. But not saying a word the whole time he's doing all that he's doing that you're aware of because maybe it happened to you or maybe it happened to your girlfriend or whomever. You know the stories. You say nothing because you want your next job. Then he gets called out, and then you pile on, which is perfect. It's just coward on top of coward activity.
I think you're absolutely right. There is this obsession with safety, which is so ironic because we live in such a safe society. Everything is so safe, and we are obsessed with that. And I do think some part of that also comes to like a lack of faith. You know, everybody's like trying to live forever because we just believe that it's nihilistic at the end, right? There's nothing there.
Right.
So why would you got to try to preserve your life for as long as you can under that situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is connected to lack of religion and faith and things like that.
Because religion teaches you to fight for higher values. It says there are values that are more important than preserving your life. Mm-hmm. We don't have that philosophy anymore.
No, not at all. And we're calling everybody's a hero, and then everyone, the rest of them are victims, even though nothing really happened to them. Like it's interesting, somewhat troubling times.
You know what's so crazy is like the positions that I have where I'm called like a radical extremist. These were the dominant positions for human history for thousands of years.
Yes.
It's only in the last 50 to 60 years that actually we've adopted a radical extremist, I don't even know what I would put this in, leftist liberal philosophy that goes counter to every instinct in humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, just take the feminist movement of I don't need no man. Yeah, when you're living in the safe society that men already built, that is policed by men who will protect you from the consequences of your own actions, okay, then you don't need no man. But that's not been the dominant philosophy of women for thousands of years. Thousands of years.
Yeah, and basically it's screwing them up too.
I absolutely think
are such a mess.
It's screwing them up. I mean, I've had these kinds of conversations with like female comedians who are like pursuing comedy. I'm like, it's all great, but let's put everything in the hierarchy of value system. I'm like, what's the real truth about what you want? Let's say you could just wave a magic wand. You get to the top of your career. You're super famous. You got everything. But you don't actually have a family. You don't have somebody who loves you. You don't have this thing to ground you. And suddenly they get it. And I go, so that's not actually your highest value to be the most successful comedian you can be. You'd like to do some comedy, but your deep core stuff is to find somebody to be with, have a loving relationship, and have a family. Maybe you'll do some comedy with that. That's the truth for most women. That is our core drive.
Well, we have attempted, sadly, to talk women out of what they need and what they do, which is a really cruel joke.
And shame them when they admit that that's what they want.
Right. So the plan is take the women and basically talk them out of every instinct they've ever known throughout humanity.
Yep.
And then we'll take the boys who are 6 years old and roughhousing on the back lawn, and we'll tell them to stop doing that, and that's bad. Right. So we'll try to get the boys to stop doing what boys do, and we'll try to get women to stop doing what women do, and then they will kill themselves.
Right.
That is basically, or they'll shoot up a school.
This is
or
why
they'll trans themselves and shoot up a school. That's how it happens.
This is why I say I think it is actually an evil ideology that is motivating these people. It's an anti-life, anti-human ideology that is rooted in a deep, deep resentment, I think, of God and his creation. That's what I think.
Well, I'm a little simpler in that whatever existed, however our society worked, they're against. So if the woman stayed home, took care of the family, and cooked and cleaned, and the guy went off and made money and brought home.
Which sounds great, by the way.
I don't. By the way, I have no idea when that became a slap in the face. I'm still waiting for some bitch to tell me to stay home while she just goes out and brings home the bacon, you know? And we took all that was. You know, we go, look, people want a car because they have freedom, and they want a home ownership, and they want traditional religion and roles and responsibilities and so on and so forth. And we went, get rid of all of it. Yeah. We're all going to live in one of these miniature towns, and you're going to live on top of the person's going to live on top of you, and you'll take mass transit, and the woman's going to work and the guy's going to work, or the woman's going to work and the guy's going to stay home, but they're not going to have kids. And it fucked everyone's shit up. It is, you are going against, look, if I took a marlin And I was like, and what it was like, Marlon, what do you do? I cut through the water. I swim 50 miles an hour. I'm shaped like a torpedo. You go, okay, that's bad.
You're not going to do that.
We got to bring you up on land now and have you kind of hang out on the beach a little bit. The fucking Marlin would kill itself.
Yeah.
It would kill itself. We go, and every time it got scooting through the water, it'd be, slow it down, Marlin. And you too, swordfish, not that I even know the difference, but bring it down. We have a maximum 3 knots. You cannot... The thing would start picking on itself. It would get fat. It would get depressed. It would watch too much Marlin porn.
It would have cats as pets.
Yeah, it would have cats as pets, and it would eventually go down to protest Elon and a Tesla dealership and start screaming like an unhinged Marlin.
It would eventually cut its sword nose off.
Cut its short nose on, put it through its nose.
Well, first it would tuck the sword nose.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's like in nature. Now, look, if you threw an owl in the ocean and said, swim, the owl would be miserable. You know what I mean? Like, there's different roles and
I agree.
Different proclivities, and guys do what guys do and women. But if you start trying to talk everyone out of what they do, I mean, if you basically, you go, you're at a barbecue, like it's a Gillette commercial, Toxic Man commercial. You're at a barbecue and there's a couple of 6-year-old boys like staying around while the dads are drinking beer and tending to the grill. At some point, they start wrestling.
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's what I did. That's what you did. I just wrestled. We didn't have video games. Everything was a headlock, and it was always funny because whenever my friend's mom would come home, she'd always walk in and go, why's the furniture all moved? She could tell the furniture had been moved, but it was we'd knock it over and slide the sofa back and wrestle and whatever. Yeah. And then at some point we tried to get everything back in place, but the mom would always go, all right, what were you guys doing in here? Well, we were fucking wrestling. I mean, that's what we did.
Do.
Right. And so if you had a bunch of people come up to us and go, hey, hello, no, none of that. No, go play nice. Go inside and play nice.
That's what they do, though.
Yeah. Well, then the guys would start fucking going nuts and acting out, being fucked up and being addicted to stuff. And it's so this never-ending quest to get the sexes to either stop doing what they're supposed to do or become the other sex, it's going to have real consequences.
Yeah, they did that. You know, my little brother, I have brothers about 16 years younger than me. And when he was in, I think it was like kindergarten or first grade or whatever, he was playing on the schoolyard. And this other kid, he was climbing up the monkey bars. This kid pulls his leg and makes him fall. So my brother turns around, punches him square in the mouth. That's what you should do, right? You fuck around and find out. The teachers are like, scolding him. Yeah, I know he made a mistake, but you don't do that. It's like, no, that's exactly what you do. Because then that kid isn't going to pull somebody else's leg and potentially hurt them.
Absolutely, 100%.
But I do think this is a problem. You know, I love women for what we are. We're very compassionate and empathetic. But if it's unchecked by masculine, discipline and consequences, it's unhinged. And nobody gets it. That's why you have an overly feminized culture that sympathizes with the criminals, but not the victim. Oh, but then he's going to spend his whole life in jail. He killed someone.
Right.
That's the least thing that we can do.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have to spend his whole life in jail. We could kill him.
Right, but that's why I said him spending his life in jail is the least we can do.
No, I know. Look, we fucked women up pretty badly starting... it's been a few years, but I used to say it to Dr. Drew all the time when I was doing Love Lines. Like I said, we're fucking up women. We're telling them, do whatever you want. Don't you let any man ever tell you. It's like, yeah, everyone should be told something by somebody early and often. And you're not anyone's seamstress. You're not anyone's chef. You're not anyone's maid. You don't have to do. And it's like, well, bitch, you better get a job as a lawyer then if you don't want to do all that shit. Right. And then we'll use your money and we'll pay it to the seamstress and the chef and the maid, but you can't just do nothing.
Yeah, I'm with that. Like, I'm pretty bad at cleaning, pretty good at cooking, so I pay somebody to clean my house.
Yeah, but you earn money.
I do earn money, and because I earn money, I don't have the energy and time to put into cleaning, and I don't like it.
Well, my feeling is, look, whatever it is, first off, like Michael Jackson couldn't Well, he did two things, but he did one thing that got him money, which is
I don't think he did the second thing, but that's
all
me.
right. Well, he sung and he danced. He didn't need to learn how to change the oil in his
Right.
family
Right.
cruiser because it would have been a waste of time
Right.
for him to do it. I still think he would have had a better, more fulfilled life if he did spend weekends changing the oil on his truck. Like, I think that might have saved him. The mundane kind of tasks of life, doing your own thing. You know, there's just a difference between a mom cooking her kid breakfast and you guys going out to breakfast.
Of course,
you know what
or
I mean?
having a maid come and do it. I mean, that's why a lot of these kids will get attached to the nannies.
Yeah,
And that messes them up. you
But
know?
if you are working and you make money, then I would suggest, just like dentistry, you pay a professional to do certain things, but keep in mind as much of the mundane as you can do. Like as much of the cooking, or that I'm going to wash my own car, or I'm going to go organize the garage this weekend. Like as much of that as you can do will keep you sane. And we have outsourced everything. I mean, dog walkers.
Yeah.
Walking your dog's about the sanest thing you can do. That will keep your ass sane, walking a dog. The fact that half these women don't even have jobs and are outsourcing to a dog walker, it's kind of ugly American shit, by the way.
I know what you
It's
mean.
a little bit gross. But
it's ugly, like upper earning, and then it's again. I think it's people really don't want to be a part of nature. They don't want to think of human beings as an organism that's grounded in nature. They need to be outside of that. And I think it all goes back to like not wanting to deal with we are going to die. You know?
Yes.
So if I have a dog walker, I don't have to be this loser, human who's got to walk her dog, and then I'm not going to die. I mean, it is that. And I do think that a lot of this, they try to separate themselves from the plebes. Oh, the plebes have to walk their dog, or the plebes have to watch their own children. And I'm like, you can outsource certain things. I agree. You're not going to be able to outsource the bond that you're supposed to have with your children. That's not going to happen. I mean,
well, you can try. I mean, I agree. No, look,
I think you're going to mess up your kids, and I think you're going to mess yourself up. Actually,
the sad thing is if you're, when you talk to a kid who loves his mom or appreciates his mom and or dad, but mom especially, they'll go, what was your mom's dish? Like when you got a boo-boo and you didn't feel well, or you had to stay home, or there was raining outside, what would she make? And the ones that have the good relation with the mom will bring up this
Chicken
dish, whatever my mom made, right? But if you're bringing up what the nanny made or what the Grubhub guy brought over, that's a break in a relationship with a mom.
Yeah, there is nothing more emblematic, I think, of a mother's love than when she makes a meal and feeds her child. She's literally sustaining life.
But not the whole cheesecake. Just one slice.
How about you don't judge me?
Too late. That's all I do.
Okay? How about that?
So is it going good now? Because you're real funny stand-up, and the worm has turned a little bit. Like the guys that were taking a thumping during COVID and being called racist and everything. I was one of those people that they tried to beat on during that period. It's better now.
It is better, but I will tell you that I think we still have a lot of cowards who run venues. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they get a little bit of anything, they just give in.
Right.
Which is pretty pathetic to me, because I think it's exactly like you said. All that would need to happen is for you to say, yeah, we're not doing that, and hang up the phone.
Right.
And then not take any more calls. Let them cry. Let them say how they're going to call everybody and all that, and just ignore it. And I promise you, they will go away.
Yes.
Here's the difference, though. All these people who did this, they're not going to be anything. I can guarantee you, because I've seen their comedy. It's horrible. And they have a little commune where they all agree they're going to be horrible together, and then that's how they're going to make it. It's not going to happen. But I'm actually doing something. And if you think I'm not going to remember every single place that canceled me, you're out of your fucking mind. And if you think I'm ever going to bring my business to you, you're also out of your fucking mind. And let me tell you what happened to all these places that canceled me. I had a sold out show in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, 250 people, which I don't have a huge audience, so that's pretty good for me. I'm 5 years into comedy. It's pretty good for me. They canceled me. So what did I do? I found a firehouse, a volunteer firehouse that had a hall that I could rent. And I brought those 250 people to his hall. And he was so grateful. And he was like, I love your comedy. You're funny. Also, anytime you want to come back, do it. So now I took approximately $10,000 to $15,000 of revenue that guy could have gotten and brought it to somebody else. So you didn't win. None of those comics who called me got my stage time or got my revenue. What did you earn? You didn't earn anything. I still got paid, actually more, because I had a better deal with this guy. This guy made money, and my fans became more diehard because they saw that I wasn't willing to go down without a fight. And here's the thing for me. It's like, yeah, I'm fighting for my right to free speech, but I'm also fighting for these people's right to have the kind of comedy that they want. You're not just silencing me. You're telling 250 people that they shouldn't like what they like.
Right.
Who the fuck are you?
I agree. And what I want to say to these people all the time is when they're out demonizing you or me or anybody, well, I disagree with you as much as you disagree with me.
More so.
Yeah, I got 2 kids that are 14 that are languishing at home because you shut the schools down, and I'm lobbying to get the schools reopened, and you're yelling at me. Imagine how I feel about you.
Yep. And your philosophy is a philosophy of death. My philosophy is a philosophy of true freedom, to set people free from these oppressive systems that have infiltrated their minds and allow people to make the decisions about what they want to listen to, what they want to go to. You vote with your money. Your philosophy is a philosophy that says, if you don't come over to my side and treat everybody with kid gloves, every lunatic with kid gloves, and advocate their made-up identities, not only are you a bad person, but you deserve to get your money taken away. Basically, you deserve to die. And your system is a system of oppression and death, because what are they advocating? They're getting these kids to chop off their genitals. I mean, hello, what are you talking about? So these people have the actually morally objectable position. Yes. Communism has killed more people than any other philosophy in the world. It is insane to me that people can openly pronounce themselves as communists and they do not get at least as equal of a vitriolic reaction as somebody who would say that they're a Nazi. Yeah. That's insane to me.
Well, Stalin's body count's a lot higher than Hitler's body count.
This is what I'm saying. We should live in a society where if somebody is a communist, they should be terrified to be public about it, because it is a philosophy of death. Communism actually has a philosophy that says, hey, if we have to kill people along the way to establishing our utopia, that's okay.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's insane that Bernie Sanders has a rally and, 8,000 people show up. Like, you want to hear what this old commie coot has to say?
Insane. And well, I'll say this, all of these places, you better believe that you are leaving a negative taste in the mouth of all of these people who wanted to come to your venue and see something they wanted, and you just told they couldn't have it.
Yeah, not Bernie, but you we're talking about.
Yeah.
So how's it going now?
So I do these shows now. Basically, what I had to do is book off the beat venues that are not connected to any businesses, so you can't call anyone. Mm-hmm. So maybe somebody's got a hall, maybe somebody's got an auditorium, and you just rent it out, pay a rental fee, or a lot of times they'll take the drinks and I'll just take the door and keep it as a secret location. You have to buy a ticket to get the location, and buying a ticket's not enough. I actually run an AI screener on these people who bought tickets. It screens the whole internet to make sure that they don't have any kind of like liberal affiliations or anything like that.
A lot of footwork there.
Yeah, well, I have to do it because they will buy these tickets, try to get the venue, and either call the place and try to get me canceled day of, or show up and try to heckle or whatever. And then the people will get the location. Most of the people are good, but one person, I had bought a ticket recently to one of my shows and then ran the AI thing, and what came back is he had written about a toxic work environment, and I was like, "Yep, you can go. You're not going to be at the show."
You're screening them.
Yeah, so the stuff is good. It's going good for me because I have my own fan base who finds me on social media, who's very committed, who's very diehard, and they know what I'm dealing with. And they like, it's more than that. They like the comedy. That's the thing. Like, it's like I could say all this stuff, and if I'm not funny, if people don't have a good show, they're going to be like, yeah, we support you. But, at the end of the day, they're coming for comedy.
Right.
So they support it. They're getting what they want. And so when I launch these shows and I launch these secret venues, they do tend to sell out. Now, they're not huge venues. I'm not that big yet. But for me, I feel grateful. I'm like, this is enough for me. And so I can do that. And that's basically what I'm doing. If you go on my website, leonardaisfunny.com, it has all my dates. You click it. It's going to say, hey, she's going to be in Nashville. It's a secret location. You'll get the location the day of.
It's like Fight Club.
That's the way it is. That's what I have to do right now because these people are still very vocal. They're very, very vocal. They want to paint. Their thing, their go-to with me is to paint me as a Nazi white supremacist.
Yeah, wait, where are they getting this from? I didn't see anything that was like, oh my God, she's a Nazi.
Well, because they want to. As soon as you are outside of the left paradigm, you're automatically a Nazi. Oh, that's it.
Oh, really?
So, and if you say anything that advocates for white people, you're a white supremacist. Meanwhile, you have people who are actually black supremacists, no problem.
No, they say the most horrific Jasmine Crockett and that kind of stuff.
Problem.
They never stop talking.
You could be on public TV like that.
I know. It's and they say like crazy stuff. Oh God, what was her thing? There's like, well, they're like, if there was a black woman in that room, maybe the rocket wouldn't have blown up or something like that. Like everything is race.
Yeah.
By the way, they're race hustlers.
I know they're race hustlers. I 100% know they're race hustlers. So, or they'll set me up. They framed me for a thing where they had supposed white nationalists come to one of my shows and hand out flyers after. They didn't even show up. They just staged a photo and said that happened. But these clubs don't care.
Yeah.
They sent them the thing. They were like, this is what's happening. I can't believe you're having this. And these people are cowards and they cave. So I will not be doing those venues. I don't do any comedy clubs anymore except maybe the end. Everything I do is a secret venue, private venue, and that's how I tour. That's what I do for comedy.
How'd the end thing come about?
Because all those guys who run the end and everything, like they're kind of like I am, the real rebels of comedy who've gotten canceled for things, who are outside the mainstream. And, they liked my comedy before I moved here. And so when I came to visit, they had me do some shows with them. Like Sam Tripoli was on. Sam's like another one that they always like to categorize that way.
Right.
And we got along. So, the guy who was producing the show said, hey, Adam Carolla's doing the show. I'd like you to come feature for him. I think you're a perfect fit. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. I liked what he was doing during COVID and stuff. So let's do it, And that's how that happened.
It was a fun night.
It was fun. And I enjoy all those opportunities. I mean, I did Roseanne's podcast recently. We hit it off because, again, we have a lot of the same ideology. And she's like, yeah, you're saying all the things that you're not supposed to say. That's why they're mad at you.
She's pretty good.
Roseanne is way out there.
I don't care. I love it, man.
I love it too.
I feel like when you become old, you should go further. You got nothing to lose. You're facing the end of your life. Say it all because all the young people need you to. And you're supposed to have the wisdom. You've been around for a long time. Say it all. You should become. If you're old, and you're going to like a Presbyterian church with a lesbian bishop, you've messed up.
I agree, but the part that I find vexing is that when I see all these, protests in the street for Tesla and stuff like that, average age seems to be like 64 and a half or something. Like I'm seeing women that are 65, 75 years old. Guys are like 75 years old. They're going to break a hip protesting.
See, isn't it better to be a Roseanne in that?
I agree. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to you? And it's kind of sad. You're like, you spent your whole life fighting an invisible dragon.
Yeah. That's good.
With a
metaphor.
popsicle stick, thinking you're a hero, with like a helmet made out of tinfoil and a cardboard shield. That's like, it's sad.
Hey, I have a helmet made of tinfoil. Chill out there.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Ma'am's got some news, and we'll do it right after this. O'Reilly. Yeah. Love the song, love the parts, love the people. They want to keep your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts and the knowledge you need to maintain your vehicle. They'll keep that baby on the road. I've always gone to O'Reilly. I'm a car guy. I fix my own cars. I used to do it because I didn't have the money to send it somewhere. Now I just do it because it's a hobby. Whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Get the parts, get the expertise, and get the friendly faces you need. That is O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Well, what is a mechanic, an auto shop owner in Georgia, a taco restaurant operator in Arizona, and a life-saving medical innovator in Tennessee have in common? They're all small businesses, and they're all thriving on TikTok. She Mechanic, Arizona Taco King, and CPR Rap are just 3 of the 7.5 million businesses across the U.S. that are using TikTok to compete and grow. From family-run establishments to entrepreneurs, 74% of businesses on TikTok say that the platform has allowed them to scale their operations, increase sales, and expand to new locations, and that growth means jobs. Today, millions of businesses on TikTok employ more than 28 million people and counting. Small businesses thrive on TikTok, right, Dawson?
Learn more about TikTok's contribution to the U.S. economy at tiktokeconomicimpact.com.
Crime is up 37%, and it's not just the minorities. Even people with Down syndrome have their own gangs now. You've all seen them. They call themselves Antifa.
Leonarda Jonie is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Yeah, it's scary. They don't like people with a sense of humor going after them because the humor really cuts quick.
And it reveals just how dumb their ideology is.
Yeah, it's very revealing, and, you know, you can pontificate all you want about something like a couple years ago, like COVID origins. Is it a wet market? Is it a lab? Lots of conjecture and lots of pontificating, and then Jon Stewart goes on Stephen Colbert's show, and in like 80 seconds turns everyone around, makes them laugh, and gets them to go, oh, yeah, of course. And that's using comedy. And that's why it's scary when you lose comedians to them, especially because we talked about ridicule now being the most effective. All right, what do you got, Mayhem?
Well, Musk shares a mind-blowing chart showing millions of non-citizens given Social Security numbers under Biden. Yeah, Elon Musk shared the chart during a Get Out the Vote rally in Wisconsin over the weekend, which claimed showed millions of non-citizens received Social Security numbers during President Joe Biden's tenure.
Well, you have to kind of wonder with everything, you go, hey, man, we want you to close this border. And they go, yeah, man, it's complicated. You know, you go, well, hey, who's the borders are? Like, it's Kamala Harris. Have you been to the border? Well, we've been to the border. You've been to the border? Well, not the border. I went to the bookstore. Borders. Yeah, but I did not go to. And it's sort of like, it's like at a certain point, as I bring up almost every day, you have to ask yourself, what do they want? Because they're not doing anything.
Oh, they're doing something.
Well, yes, they're not doing anything that would suggest they want the border closed. You got border guys on horseback waving their reins around, and you're saying they're beating Haitians at the border. You got a guy. Okay, So here's what I'm saying. Simple thought experiment.
All right.
Democrats, Biden, and Kamala Harris. You want the border stout, right? You want a good, safe, effective border. You don't want people coming over. Right. No. Right. No. Okay. Why are you suing Texas for putting up razor wire to stop people from coming across the border? Oh, no, I want a good border. How come everything you do is against that if that's what you want? Like if you take guys, there's no such thing as a horny guy who's like, I want to go out and get a fucking whore tonight. And then you go, Marty, it's been 2 hours. Where you been? I'm taking my pre-whoring nap. And then you go, all right, well, then what? I've been in the shower for 2 hours. Like, I want some pussy. It's like, do you though? You've not, it's been 3 days now. You've not left the house.
Marty's
like,
gay.
Marty's gay. Like at a certain point, don't listen to him, watch him.
Yeah, it's called gaslighting.
Right. And when guys are horny and they do want to go out and get some companionship, they'll walk through a plate glass window to get to it.
They'll go through a blizzard to get a cheesecake.
Right. No, when you're into it. You know what I mean? Like but it's true. Like when you're into what you're into. But you wouldn't talk about cheesecake for year in and year out. Have you been to the Cheesecake Factory? I haven't been to Europe either, but that doesn't mean it's like you fucking will be at the Cheesecake Factory eating cheesecake, not talking about it every year and never going there, right?
Yep. Well, they want them in. They want to dismantle the
I
West.
think that's what it feels like at this point, yes. Because they want voters, and also they want the census demographic as well, even if they're not voting. So but why wouldn't you?
Yeah, he said that he found this they were mapping the whole system of Social Security, including where they found a lot of people over 120 years old. So
have they arrested anyone who did this?
Yeah, that's the big thing, that there's fraud. It seems like that they're finding fraud, but I haven't heard of one person arrested for said fraud yet.
Yeah. That's when people are really going to change. When you actually start arresting the people responsible for this who are committing the fraud, then there's an incentive. Because right now, the people who are doing this, politicians or whatever, they again have only gain.
Yes.
They can make money. Somebody could bribe them, all this. And if they get caught, there's no loss.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, I think Biden pardoned Mayorkas. You got to look it up there.
Yeah, he did.
He did. So he pardoned everybody.
What does that tell you? Why would you wouldn't need to pardon an innocent man?
Listen, I'll take a pardon if I can get one.
Yeah, no chance of that. But no, well, they would say because of retribution and Trump's, what they do is they build the false dragon that is Trump, and then they go, why did you pardon your son? Because the fake dragon would come after him. Now, what I've said a million times, you don't have to pardon me for killing Nicole Brown Simpson, because if you said, let's get at him and let's lock him up for killing Nicole Brown Simpson, I'll go, what night was it? Yeah, I was in La Crescenta with my roommates watching Jeopardy. Like, you can interview them, check for DNA. Like, if I didn't do anything, if it was just nothing, like if you're just, let's just say Hunter Biden just did nothing. He just, normal son, just hung out stateside, just worked at a, he worked for 3M making Post-it stickies or something. Well, then what could Trump really do?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this weird fantasy. He's just going to go scoop him up and throw him in solitary confinement. But really, what could you do if there's nothing there? Or is there a bunch of there?
Yeah, and the other part, too, is you have to remember, they know that they just have to give their hordes a bit of a narrative to help them, because otherwise it becomes very clear, like, why are you pardoning someone who didn't do anything? And in order to keep the hordes there and not having to, because they know these hordes got to go out and fight these battles with the plebes. So they just give them a narrative, and you'll hear them all parrot it back.
Right.
And you'll see it. They all like download the software, and then it comes right out, and you're so predictable. It's insane.
It is very predictable. And the interesting time we're at now is we took a break on the social justice. We took a break on the race hustling for just 10 minutes, and we went right to the class hustle. These billionaires want to give money to their billionaire friends by throwing grandma out in the street and getting her off Social Security. So
there's the narrative.
Right. They shifted from race, because it's always race, nonstop race. And there was like a memo. And overnight, it all shifted to class. Start calling everyone billionaires and buddies. And then some sort of weird thing where Elon is trying to look into Social Security so he can give his billionaire buddies a tax handout. But by the way, tax handouts, paying less in taxes is not a tax handout. Like if I'm...
It is if I'm entitled to your money.
Well, yeah, but if I go to a movie theater and popcorn is $17, and then at some point they go, for you, Carolla, it'll be $8. That's not really a popcorn handout. That's just, I'm not getting butt fucked about the popcorn. Like that, I'm not being gouged in the popcorn department. It's still my money. I'm still giving you my money. I'm giving you a lower percentage of it. And the popcorn's free for the rest of the fucking people in the movie theater, by the way. So it's not exactly a handout.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Mayhem.
Oh, we got some more news. Prince Andrew accuser Virginia Giuffre says she's in the hospital after a car crash with the school bus. This prominent Jeffrey Epstein accuser alleged Prince Andrew abused her, is in serious condition in a hospital after a school bus hit a car she was in driving in rural Australia.
Well, just because Prince Andrew was driving the school bus doesn't mean that he was trying to silence her. I want you to know, I know his critics will point to that.
Yeah, she here on Instagram, she said that she'd gone into kidney renal failure and they'd given me 4 days to live.
Which is a bit odd, don't you think? That it's that specific?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But
so she accused the prince of getting at her when she was underage?
Correct.
Yeah.
Said that he absolutely denied it. And the funny thing about this is that the Western Australia police reported that there was a minor collision between a car and a car and a bus.
Well, she was a minor at the time. He got to her.
Yeah.
He gave one of the greatest interviews ever. Remember Dawson when he was being accused of all this, like in a sit down, and he was explaining he doesn't sweat because he had he fought in the Falklands War, and grenade went off too close to him, and he stopped sweating. I wish I had that. I sweat a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Wasn't he sweating during the interview, though?
No, that's why I believe it. Because someone puts a light and a camera in your face and accuses you of being a pedophile and you're bone dry.
Well,
that's pretty good.
When you're one of the elites, you've had a lot of training with that. I don't know. She's got a picture. I believe it.
Oh, Marcus did not receive a pardon from President Joe Biden, by the way. FYI. Yeah, so also, when the chicks are young and skinny and blonde, it kind of hurts your case when you're arguing about not being attracted to them.
Right.
And you're cuddled up right next to him.
Yeah.
Hey, he said that he never did anything, but Prince Andrew intends to make a substantial donation to Ms. Giuffre's charity in support of victims' rights.
A substantial donation of 2 bullets.
Yeah.
Or a school bus.
Doesn't that sound like a guilty man? He's trying to be like, look how good I am.
Totally. He's giving her a bunch of money despite saying, nope, I didn't do it.
I'll tell you what's always guilty. What's always guilty is like, you rent somebody your condo or something, and then at some point you come back and the throw rug is like ripped. There's a big rip in the middle, and you go, that thing was almost new when you moved in, and now it's got a big rip in the middle. And they go, I didn't do it. It was that way when I got there. And then you go, it was definitely not that way. I bought it, rolled it out, then you moved in the next day, and there was a big rip in the middle. And they go, I didn't do it, but okay, I'll split the cost of it. It's like, you do not split. If I came out of a supermarket and someone said, your shopping cart dinged the side of my minivan, and I'd go, I just walked out. And they go, well, I'm accusing you of that. I wouldn't go, let's split the cost of that. I'd go, fuck right off. Like, I'm not splitting the cost of something that I definitely didn't do. Yeah. And I'm not cutting a check to the Wayward Women's Foundation if I never touched this bitch.
That's right. Spot on.
Oh, we got the Can't Sweat video. It's a good one.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March?
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was actually, yes, I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at, and I simply it was almost impossible for me to sweat, and it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again. So I'm afraid to say.
But he said he said he's able to sweat now, just in case you see him sweating.
Yeah.
I feel that way about loving again. Like I was so traumatized that I just couldn't do it. But I'm working on learning to love again. All right.
Here's
Compelling.
some more news. Black dad knocked for leaving his kids at McDonald's to interview for a job.
You know, I started reading this. I was like, screw that. I was looking for a job. You know, as a brother looking for a job.
Come on, he's doing two things black people don't do. He's raising his kids and he's looking for a job.
That's right.
Yeah. Georgia man was recently arrested for leaving his kids at McDonald's so he could go job hunting. Chris Lewis left his 3 children at an Augusta area, Mickey D's, while job was.
Also, don't put a slide in a Ronald McDonald Funhouse and a ball pit and shit. You know, half those places have kids.
That's exactly right.
You just leave the kid on the slide.
Yeah.
How old are the kids? Oh, 1.
Yeah.
One of the kids is 1. That's a little shady.
That's why you have the 9-year-old in charge.
A 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Yeah, they were left inside. Somebody got nosy and called the cops.
Black men cannot rise above. This is why they have because the system. Look at what they do. The guy's trying to go get a job, and they get
it's
him.
viral now. Somebody's giving this guy a job.
Yeah, just because he pronounces it McDonald's doesn't mean. It does not. I don't know what it is with black people and the word McDonald's, but it's not. It's like axe and ask. Like for some reason. No one ever tunes him up and goes, it's just called McDonald's. Like it's not old MacDonald had a farm. It's old McDonald. It's a different thing. Yeah.
It'd be pretty funny if he was going to another McDonald's to apply for a job.
That one doesn't have a play place.
I will say that if it had a play place and you have a 10-year-old and this thing in your head is under an hour, you can tell the 10-year-old, look after your brother and your sister or whatever, have fun in the ball pit. Here's a French fry. I'm hustling out to put in an application. I don't think that makes you a bad dad.
I think the 1-year-old's a little close. Like 10-year-old, it depends on the 10-year-old if they're mature enough to take care of a 1-year-old.
I'm trying to think. I started babysitting when I was like 13, I guess.
Yeah, but you were changing oil on cars. It's a little different.
That's right. That was right. I own my own McDonald's in the neighborhood. I miss the urban McDonald commercials from back in the day where everyone was black.
Oh yeah,
they would do it.
Well, now every commercial, everyone's black. So.
Yeah, but we used to do. See, back in the day, the white commercials were throwing a couple of token blacks into the mix, just a couple of croutons on top of the white salad there, but. The black commercials, it would be weird if there was one ginger standing there at the counter, right? So they would do the old urban one, and they sung the song, and they would call it McDonald's.
Oh, that's funny.
And I don't think it's offensive to say, like, look, if I said, oh, yeah, that singer Whitney Houston. You could say Whitney Houston. Like, you could say to me as a black man, it's Whitney Houston. You keep saying Houston. It's Houston. Like, it's not McDonald. Heather McDonald. Yeah. She's not Heather McDonald.
That's true.
Not that they know who she is, but the point is it's a name. You got to say it. You got to say it the way it's said. It's just called McDonald's.
Yeah, you're right.
Old McDonald. All right, let's see. First McDonald's breakfast commercial. Targeting black Americans in 1979.
Untrue it is.
All right, here it is. Sorry. Do we have that?
Mac. You're right.
Mama wants to get the
church. She's been waiting up since dawn. She wishes I would hurry up and get some breakfast on. But after working hard all week, I'd like to get my rest. So we head for McDonald's just as soon as we get dressed. Scrambled eggs and sausage and hash browns. Hotcakes and sausage too.
They're not getting to church. I'll tell you this right now.
Something good for everyone. Fresh and hot, cooked just right, top quality, and the price is light. Breakfast at McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Suits my family. And since we're gonna get to church on time, Mama's proud of me. At McDonald's.
Yeah, I like it.
You know what I
love
miss?
the all black McDonald
I
commercial.
miss when we had black families.
Yes.
Now it's just everyone's broken up, you know?
But see, we know the root of McDonald. They signed off on that.
They
it
did.
was on the show.
Yeah.
It was- you know what I mean?
You can't fault them if the, coming down.
Everybody got to call it
Didn't
McDonald.
didn't one of the guys from the big ad agency go, look, it's
Yeah, and he was in a room with
McDonald's.
a bunch of black actors, and he was
so
like,
it's
all right.
call it what you like, but that's not what it is. Wow.
Those pancakes look pretty good. See, there's my inner fat.
Oh,
coming
yeah.
out.
It all looked good.
It did, yeah.
That was 79. They had a black McDonald's.
Black McDonald's.
Black Donald's?
Black McDonald's. I own my own Black McDonald's in the neighborhood. Okay.
Hey, I got a wild tweet here. Here's a video on X. Woman faced backlash after complaining for being seated between two overweight passengers on the plane.
I have very strong feelings about this.
Right.
It's an older thing, I think, but it's unearthed or something. But I think there's film of it or tape of it or
There's
something.
video. Yeah, there's video from
As
X.
a former fat person, I want to say you have every right to discriminate against fat people. We're doing it to ourselves.
Well, I mean, also, you've got to... let's just show the tape. You can't have two huge people and expect someone to take the middle seat.
An airline passenger stuck in the middle seat resorts to fat-shaming her seatmates.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to do this the next 4 hours.
It happened just before takeoff on a United Airlines flight from Las Vegas to Newark, New Jersey. Norma Rogers, an oncology nurse who once appeared on the Dr.
She
Oz
ate at
show
McDonald's
for a
one too many
nurse's
times.
appreciation episode, was seated next to the fat shamer. The nurse's travel companion
fat
was in
shamer.
the aisle seat. Rogers flagged down a flight attendant.
Excuse me. Can you find her another seat? Because I will not be verbally abused by this or anybody else.
I can't sit here because it's both so big on left and right. I can't even sit here.
The flight attendant offered the fat shamer a new seat. As the
Hold on
woman
a
gets
second.
up-
You see how they're making her the perpetrator?
I know.
You who does some diet and some exercise are sitting in between two tubagoos, and
She's the problem, by the way.
right, she's the fat shamer. This is who we're attacking in our society. Those airline seats are made for 185 max.
All right. You're hitting a little close to home over here.
195 max. They're not made for 400 pounds. They're not, but neither is the roller coaster at Magic Mountain. Like, hey, you can eat your way out of certain things.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's correct.
And if you have one on one side and the other on the other side, you are not... There is no lucite that you're pressed up against. It's you're slopping into the next seat. That's gravity, man.
You're
That's how it
literally
works.
in my seat.
I purchased a seat. And I know spaces. Those seats, visually, those seats are like 18, 19 inches wide, like max. They're not... This is 24 inches. They're not 24. They're 21 or they're 19 or whatever they are. If you got 3 inches encroachment on the right, 3 inches encroachment on the left, you're taking up 30% of my seat.
Yeah.
I bought that.
It's just math.
It's all just real estate. You buy real estate on a plane.
Why didn't she buy, since she and her fat husband were going to be sitting together, why didn't they buy the middle seat? And then they wouldn't have had this problem. And then do you see how they have to do it? Because they've been emboldened by this media that tells them that they should never be ashamed of anything and they are entitled to everything.
Right, you're killing them.
She's verbally abusing me. By the way, you're actually abusing me with your fat body.
Mm-hmm.
And she's verbally abusing me, and then even the news, the fat shamer. Oh, I wonder if that news guy would like to sit in between two tubalards.
I like to do it. I just snuggle right up and go to sleep.
All right, sorry, there's a couple seconds left.
I gotta also say, being on a plane with Indians who fart all the time, I'm not a fan of this. Not a fan of this.
Yeah.
Looks so big on left and right. I can't even sit here.
The flight attendant offered the fat shamer
The
a new
fat
seat.
shamer.
As the woman gets up, she delivers one more insult.
Hell yeah.
I eat salad.
Other passengers were outraged.
Why don't you sit in between those big pictures?
I love that everyone's outraged.
She's making a lot of good points.
I know.
This was just the norm. This is what I'm saying. Like a few years ago, this was just the norm. This is how you would talk to fatties.
Yes, the audience. I love that the other passengers were outraged. Like, go fucking, you sweat your ass off sitting in between those two.
Well, again, easy virtue. They don't have
Easy.
that, you know.
Listen. Here's the deal. Said it once, say it a million times. Forget about weighing your luggage. Weigh your luggage. Bring as much lard in your ass as you want. Pack as much shit in your bag as you want. But you will be charged when you go. Remember those places that had the salad that you weighed back in the day? And you load up and then you weigh them.
Oh yeah.
And at the end you can spend a lot. You can spend $26 on a salad if you load it up. But if the guy behind you is going light, then his is like $9. But what you want to live in a world where you go, all right, that guy loaded up, he's $26. You went light, you're $9. Why don't you both pay $19? It's like, no, that guy weighs that much. That's what he weighs. They do it with your bags.
Yep.
Just do it with you. Just everyone weighs in. Everyone weighs in.
You're going to have a lot of women crying.
See, I've argued this a lot. Yes, but women, mayhem. What were you at max peak capacity?
185. I was like 185.6.
That was max fitness capacity.
Oh yeah,
that was my fitness weight too.
Max load.
280.
280.
Yeah. I
Okay.
was 100 pounds off my fight weight before.
What? Look, women are catching up, but men traditionally weigh 50 pounds more than women.
Yeah, not me. Sorry.
So, all right, but even mayhem would weigh more than you.
Yeah, he would. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And even at peak, 280, you were actually 50 pounds more than me at peak.
Okay.
227 at peak.
Okay. All right. So your fighting weight, heavyweight was that weight. Okay. Why shouldn't mayhem pay more than you? Is what I'm saying.
Well, he's not going to spill into my seat.
And women who go, whoa, women aren't going to like this. But if the average woman, what does the average woman weigh now?
175 pounds, and she's size 12 and 5'4" or 5'5".
Really?
Yeah.
Is that average?
Yeah, they're pretty fat now.
That is sad.
Yeah.
But if that's true, the average dude is still bigger.
Oh, yeah.
So women would pay, on average, less for their airline ticket than men. And you wouldn't subsidize us, is what I'm saying.
There'd be a lot of people spitting into a cup right before stepping on the scale.
I'd have the guy, my trainer, hold the towel out in front of me because I get naked. Not stripped down.
Drop your chonies.
Got to take your shoes off. Every woman knows that. Take your shoes off. Make
Take a
sure you
piss.
go to the bathroom. If you're lucky, you get to poop before you step on the scale.
Stand on your head.
Yeah.
I know all the tricks.
Stand on your head.
Yeah.
What's that do?
Yeah, put all the blood in your head and then lean over.
Oh, you move your fat noggin off to the side. That's a
I'm going to
trick.
try that.
I'm going to try that too.
Got me out of trouble before.
All right, Dawson, what is the average woman weigh? Is it really 175?
It might be a little more than that,
It's-
actually.
1 second. I had it. Let me get it back.
All right. More and 5'4", did you say?
170.8 pounds
See?
for
All right, so
20 years of age.
20?
She's like a size 12, right?
40 to 59-year-olds weigh 176.
Wow.
So I was pretty good.
You're right there.
Jeez.
And the average height, in case you want it, is 5'4".
Yeah.
That doesn't bode well. That is not good. What's the average dude weigh, though? We'll see how much we can save you on these airline tickets, because it's going to be more. It's going to be more. And wouldn't it be nice? Then you could pack an extra 40 pounds worth of luggage for free,
That would
essentially.
be great. Yeah.
All right. I'll let you find that, Dawson. Anna's out there. So speaking of fat, she'll figure out a way to keep you from getting fat. We'll talk to her in a second. United States average man, age 20, is 5'9" and tall and weighs 200 pounds, basically. So we still got 25 or 30 for the 20-year-old. We got 30 pounds on it. You pay that much more when you buy your ticket.
I think everybody just weighs more these days. People, if you go back and look, people used to be so tiny. It's kind of
talk about it all the time on the show. Yeah, there's everybody's on a digital lifestyle, sitting in their car nonstop. It's just how we are in America.
Yeah.
This crazy part is Anna's friend and my friend Vinny Tortorich always brings up. He goes, "Look at a picture from Woodstock.
Yeah,
skinny as shit.
Real skinny.
Skinny. Oh, we were watching here the other day, Dawson. You may know what it is. There's a video out there that is like parking lot interviews in New Jersey from 1987 when not Motley Crue, but like
Metallica.
No, was it Metallica?
I think so, yeah.
Would you watch that vid with me?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Was it Metallica? I thought it was another Judas Priest.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it was Judas Priest. And they were interviewing everyone in the parking lot they were tailgating. Look at the size of these dudes.
Well, that woman's a little thick.
The woman's a little thick. The dudes are bony as shit.
Yeah.
Like when you watch it, every dude has their shirt off and you can see like every...
Well, because like processed food was not the way it is.
I mean, these guys weigh 137 pounds.
Yeah. I think they're each probably about 170. That guy's probably one. Guys weigh more than they look like.
Guys weigh more, but that ain't 170, man.
Maybe he's 160, that guy.
Oh, there's one fat guy.
We got a couple Mexicans. Whoa, they're looking to Metallica. How do you like that? See, Mexicans used to assimilate.
Yeah. Now, one's wearing a Metallica shirt, and the other's wearing Iron Maiden, so now I'm confused. All right.
They don't know what it is. They just got there.
It's Iron Maiden, I guess. And look, they're skinny as shit. I watched this whole video with Mayhem, and they're all skinny as shit. Everyone was skinny. This is 87. It's not 67. And this is New Jersey. You know what I mean? It's not Bangladesh.
Yeah, that's when they started putting corn into everything. Corn syrup, corn,
and
subsidizing.
Palm oil. Yeah.
Lots of chemicals, messing with people's hormones.
Yep. All right, Leonarda. This has been fun.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you, guys.
I'm going to put your website out there.
Thank you.
Leonarda is funny.com. And she is, because I've seen her do stand-up.
Yep, and they can check out my YouTube. It's the same thing. Leonarda is funny.
Okay, we'll talk to Anna right after this. Mando. Mando is a whole body deodorant, safe to use anywhere in your body. Pits, balls, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt crack, wherever you got it. Feet. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. All of their products are baking soda free and paraben free as well. We all use this stuff here. Oh yeah, I use it. Don't have a BO issue, but I still like to show up minty fresh for my coworkers. So that's why we're all fans of Mando out here. Am I right, Dawson?
Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code ADAM at mandopodcast.com, MANDO podcast.com/Adam. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
Well, it's a brand new year, and we're all about setting goals and actually hitting them this time. And that's why I want to talk about today's sponsor, Huel, spelled Huel. Their Black Edition, ready to drink, is a complete meal in a bottle. High protein, low sugar, packed with all the nutrients you need to perform at your best. New customers can try it for 15% off, plus a free gift using my exclusive code, ADAM. This stuff's good. It's so good that they ship us a case of this stuff, and it's gone almost immediately because everyone here partakes, including myself. No prep, no cooking, just grab a Huel for those inconvenient meals, the ones where you don't got time to cook. You're on the run. You're moving, man. It tastes like a milkshake, and it's low in sugar. It's Huel, right, Dawson?
Get 15% off plus a free gift for new customers with the code ADAM at Huel.com. Start your year off strong with Huel, nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Yo, hey, sticking with the freeway sign nonsense. I'm driving through Delaware and I just passed a billboard or a sign that says, drive like the person your dog thinks you are. Oh my God.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Anna Vocino is in studio. Eat Happy Kitchen is where you can get her stuff at eathappykitchen.com. Great sauces and beyond. I purchased them myself.
You have. You
Yes,
paid
I
retail.
have.
Thank you.
I paid retail. They don't have any of the crap that all the other stuff has.
Yeah.
And shortly before you came on, I looked at my phone and I saw a tweet that said that In-N-Out Burger was going to do their fries and beef tallow.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, I might have to just defy everything that Vinny Tortorich has taught me and go get them fries.
Starting, I think it's starting May 1st or May 5th
I will
or
queue
something
up for
like
that. Let's go.
Yeah, I will too. But the thing I thought about is it's nice when there's like a little societal pressure and it kind of gets people to do stuff.
Yeah.
And companies take notice. And, you know, because you guys have been screaming about all this stuff for a long time and nobody cared. And now we got Robbie Jr. in there and he's taking care of business.
Listen, whatever it takes to make some changes. But it is true that Vinny and I have been doing this, ever since he hogtied me back in 2012 to start a podcast with him. And I went along with him kind of as like the everyman listener because I was the mom who was like, my A1Cs aren't great. Hey, I'm putting on weight. And I was used to doing the Hollywood thing of like, I'll just crash diet, before I have to appear anywhere. And not realizing that I was like not doing my body any good and learned so much from him and then went down a rabbit hole.
We'll get into the rabbit hole. Okay. Now, there's breaking news, which is it could be an April Fool's joke. The In-N-Out thing, except for Five Guys. Was it Five Guys that already said they're going to do it, or Shake Shack or something?
Can we not with April 1st?
I'm with you, but I'm saying it's a weird joke because Shake Shack, like one of your competitors, is already
it's not
made
a funny joke.
It's not because A, you should do it, but B, others are doing it already.
Unless they're like, you tallow lovers, you just got burned. April Fools, bitches. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Well, also, if you're in and out, you should do it.
You should.
Right. And others will. And I think they all will.
Like, I don't know the brass tacks of it, but is it more
expensive? It probably will be, I guess.
I
I don't know. Listen, everything's expensive.
What
right?
it is we're stupid. I grew up with these idiots, sort of meat is murder and everything.
Right.
Everything has fat and it's bad for you. So don't eat butter, eat margarine, and don't cook everything in vegetable oil. Don't do it in lard or fat or butter. And they all went nuts. And they happened to be they weren't sort of off the mark. They were 180% incorrect about everything.
Correct. They were fed wrong information. And I still have girlfriends who are like, I don't care what you say. I don't care cookbooks, yada, yada, yada. You will never convince me that butter is healthy. And I'm like, okay, cool. We will disagree to disagree.
Yeah. So it turns out, well, also historically, like if you just go, well, okay, they didn't know anything back in the day when they all cooked with butter and made eggs and stuff. And you're like, no one was fat and no one had allergies. So nobody was allergic to anything and everyone was skinny. So maybe they didn't know anything, but look at them. They seem to know something.
Yeah, they seem to.
Now we're all evolved and we're all fat and everyone's allergic to everything.
Yeah.
So,
or in my case, I have 2 autoimmune things and that I'm sure has something to do with growing up eating the most processed foods.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So is it just a corn like lobby? You know what I mean? Like, did they figure out? If we sell oil, so vegetable oil. So if we sell the vegetable oil, is that there's a propaganda campaign to make it like butter's bad? Or
listen, this is why you watch Vinnie Tortorich's movies, Fat and Fat Too, because he explains this stuff.
okay.
But yeah, no, it definitely the lobbying is very strong, and it's very cheap. Because what I found manufacturing products. It is very cheap to fill spices with things that aren't spices because it just takes up room. You could put cornstarch in there. That can be an anti-caking agent and a filler. You could put sugar in there to sweeten it so that more people like it. The American palate, we've all been taught we need to have a lot of processed sugar, salt, and fat. There's been books written about that. And so to make stuff that's actually clean, that they don't put crap all in it, it's a fight. You have to find the right partners who are going to manufacture that. So
yeah, it's like you go, I'm not going to manufacture any of my T-shirts in Vietnam or China. I'm making all my stuff here, and then you go, how much does it cost to make a hat here versus China?
Oh, that hurt my feelings. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's easy to fall into that.
Yeah.
For the first time, people are kind of waking up to this with the food pyramid and all the other nonsense we just went through, right?
The food pyramid was a long time because when I was a kid, it was the 4 food groups. Like in elementary school, we had the 4 food groups.
Right.
So the food pyramid has been decades in the making because I'm old now. And I'm like, and now they're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
We're going to just kind of like, let's switch it. We're going to flip it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it was all like you don't need meat, you don't need protein, you need whole grain. Everything was like whole. They sold this whole grain thing, and
which are only good if you put like I don't know chicken and
if you're a
olive
marathon
oil and you
runner,
put other things on
you
it.
eat carbos all day. But if you're not, you need to eat protein and vegetables. It's a strange trick they pulled.
I've always liked the
American
protein
people.
in the vegetables.
Yeah.
It's whatever they said is wrong. You can file it under COVID or Hunter Biden's laptop. It's just all
Russia.
fucking lying and bullshitting and money and people and corporations and then there's sort of useful idiots, which is like the news outlets and dumb moms everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And it's all they just became their foot soldiers, and it's just kind of a weird. It's also like a lot of it. Like I used to argue with my ex-wife about this, which is she wanted to make my son liked the Quaker Oats instant maple syrup, and who does? It's the best tasting thing ever, right?
Yeah.
But it's. Of course, it's called like maple and brown sugar, but there's no fucking maple in it at all. It's just corn syrup and brown dye number 4 and carbs, and it's shit. It's the worst thing you could eat for breakfast. It's candy garbage. So I would go, don't do it. You know what I mean? And she'd go, he needs a hot breakfast. And I'd go, no, he needs a hard-boiled egg and an orange or something. He doesn't need this. But to get him started in the morning,
we had cream of wheat or the instant oats. And by the way, that was a rich person thing. If you could get instant oats when I was little, because I remember my mom being like, we had to make the giant thing of Quaker Oats and add our own shit to it.
Right.
But we would put so much sugar on the breakfast.
But the brainwashing of the American housewife with the hot, wholesome meal, you know what I mean? Which is like, they did a fucking killer job.
No, they did.
As if you couldn't eat something cold for breakfast that was healthy. You had to eat something hot that was unhealthy. And then you'd slather them in Purell to keep them safe. And then COVID came around and we got our asses kicked.
Yeah.
But they got to the moms, they brainwashed the moms. The mom's doing the shopping and cooking and doing all that.
As a mom, you want to do right by your kids. It's not like they're like
you do, but you got brainwashed by Procter and Gamble.
You did.
That's what happened to you. They fucking scrambled your brain, and I've been yelling about this for a million years, and everyone thinks you're just bad because you're bringing this stuff up.
I want to unfuck their brains.
I want to unfuck housewives' brains.
Yeah,
I'm starting tonight.
All right, great.
Okay, my dear.
Let's go.
So. They did a wonderful job, and now we're having to undo it.
Yeah,
and
it's really hard to kind of shift that paradigm and peel back the layers of the onion because people are still very much like, because I'm in the streets. I'm in the grocery store streets every weekend demoing sauces. Because if you walk into a grocery store and there's a wall of pasta sauces, how are you going to know You're just going to pick your favorite, right? So I'm out there sampling all the time. And so I hear what people are saying. And I will literally have one person come up and be like, this is a true quote. A woman at the Marina Del Rey Pavilion said to me, I cured my cancer from eating mostly beans. And I was like, okay. Great. Like, I'm not going to, that's her reality. And I'm not going to be like, I don't know her story. I can't address that. It sounds bonkers to me. But I go, okay, great. But what do you think about the sauce? Like, we're here to do something. And then another lady walks up and she had another health story, but it was about completely different, like a completely different thing. And then they started arguing with each other. And I was like, this is where we are. Like, this is like the internet living right in front of me at a table in Marina Del Rey.
Well, what is your pasta sauce is amazing.
Thank you.
I've just had the pink stuff so far. I did not get the red sauce. But there's always a controversy about low carb, no carb, gluten free. Like, what are we pouring your sauce over? Okay. Well, and I got to tell you, first off, all the zucchini noodles, people, fuck right off. That's a watery, shitty mess.
You are angry.
I will accept.
Well, you gotta sweat them. You gotta sweat them.
All right.
I can
don't just cook the zucchini noodles and think you're not going to have a soggy mess. You got to sweat them.
All right, so that'll work.
Yeah.
Adam Carolla's on the road. San Diego, April 11th and 12th at the American Comedy Club. Port Charlotte, Florida, May 2nd and 3rd at Vasani's Italian Steakhouse and Comedy Theater. And Melbourne, Florida on May 4th at the Melbourne Auditorium. Get tickets for these shows and a whole lot more at adamcarolla.com.
What is, like, there's a brand I think called Carbonata, which is like
I haven't had that one, but there's skinny pasta.
Yeah, it's like lower carb pasta, but is any of it any good?
I mean, I prefer the vegetables because I'm like, well, if I'm going to eat the thing, I'll just eat the vegetables. But I honestly put it on meat. And I have figured out a way to sell pasta sauce to people who don't even eat pasta.
Oh, really?
So, but I want the rest of the world to eat. But here's the thing: the rest of the world does eat pasta, so it's hard to figure out like what you can get people to eat, what you can't get them to eat. I think the gluten-free trend has been completely misunderstood, and I say this as somebody who was diagnosed with celiac in 2002, and ironically was rail thin because I didn't digest a single nutrient in my entire life until then I was diagnosed, and then I started putting on weight, and thank God I met Vinny. Mm-hmm. And so people think, I'm going to go gluten-free, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, and it doesn't work that way. It can, but it doesn't necessarily. So the gluten-free thing, unless you have a problem with gluten, it's not necessarily going to help you to eat the gluten-free pasta. But you don't have to have celiac. So it's like an individual thing for people. But I think that like putting it on like spaghetti squash or the noodles, that's all fine. You can do that. I have 3 cookbooks full of ways to do those things. But ultimately, when I'm at home and I'm tired and I'm hungry and I have a husband who's also tired and hungry, I pour pasta sauce over meat, make a run and gun type of chili or an Italian thing, or just cover it with parm because that's a faster shortcut and knowing that you've got something healthy. But it has to taste good.
Yeah.
We are Americans. Shit that doesn't taste good will never fly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't fly in my household either. I don't want that.
I would dump it over meatloaf and think that would be pretty good.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
My grandfather
I should have brought a meatloaf.
Used to make a meatloaf and put a hard-boiled egg in it.
In it.
Awesome. Awesome, man. And a little treasure hunt, too.
Yeah.
Put a couple
who
of them
gets
in there.
the egg? It's like the king cake, but it's like an egg. Yeah.
Yeah, don't sleep on that. People laugh at me, but I start doing it. It works.
I feel
it's
like
doable.
you should do like a little like chain of eggs, like the length of the...
It tastes good. It works well. If you got a little ketchup or the sauce on the side, the egg blends right in there.
I'm stealing that for the next book. And I will call
hard-boiled
it
egg in there.
Hard-boiled egg.
Call it Laszlo Gorog's hard-boiled egg. Because
that is Laszlo Gorog's hard-boiled egg meatloaf.
Yes.
By Adam Carolla. Okay, that's a very catchy title.
So for
Shout out to your grandfather.
You're out living this life.
Yeah.
And now you finally feel like there's some traction, right? Like people are waking up to this stuff.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I mean, you don't want to talk about something and spend 12 years of your life discussing something that nobody gives a shit about. Like, so It's nice that people are finally catching on, and Vinny's done a lot of work and I've done a lot of work on my... We found out really quickly that he was the kind of fitness part and I was the food part, and we had good chemistry and we liked that. I had been recipe writing just because I had to figure out how the fuck to eat when you're diagnosed with something that nobody's heard of. At least in 2002, nobody knew what gluten-free was, and I had to figure out what to eat, and I just started recipe writing. And it was also great because I'm a voice actor. That's what my trade is, and thank God people pay me to do that, because then there's downtime. I'm like, what can I do that feels less frustrating than I just lost this big job? I can write a bunch of recipes, and that feels good, and make that happen. So the fact that I was able to put that, let's make cookbooks, let's turn this into a thing, feels really good that people are listening, that other people are looking for that material, that other people need help. You know,
what is the couple of the most popular recipes in Eat Happy and Eat Happy 2?
My chicken parm is probably the best Italian recipe, because that's something that if you do want to either do gluten-free or low carb, you will never find that in a restaurant. You cannot find a chicken parm in the wild.
Right.
That's, if you're trying to do low carb, it just doesn't exist. So that's a very popular recipe. And ironically, you get it on the table in 12 to 15 minutes. So
Really?
it's like not... I love easy restaurant quality meals.
What do you coat the chicken in?
I can use almond flour. You can use a combination of almond flour and pork panko, or the crushed up pork rinds. I like to use the crushed up pork rinds with a little Parmesan in it. I'd use the salt dust that I brought to you. I season the chicken, hammer it out, put it on the stove, pour the sauce, do some mozzarella, some parm. You're done. It's super easy. And I think people think like, oh, I'm going to have to go to my fancy Italian restaurant and get the chicken parm.
Yeah.
And not that we don't love that experience, but you can do it at home and get dinner on the table fast. So that's a very popular recipe.
I thought it was hard. Damn, you made it
I know,
sound
right?
easy.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
What's another popular
Okay. Listen, you can throw steaks on the grill. That's super easy to do. But really popular recipes are the chicken. It's like a Tuscan chicken. Oh my God, I'm blanking on the names. Any sort of like the low crust pizza recipes. The low carb pizza crust recipes are very popular, because generally when people realize, it's usually somebody, the doctor says, hey, your A1Cs or your blood pressure or whatever, you got some bad news. Because nobody wants to face that, right? But it's usually when the doctor says, hey. And then you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, can I have pizza? I'm not going to give up pizza. And you're like, yeah, you can have pizza, but you have to just make these certain ways. So I have the almond flour crust. And then a mom said to me, my kid's allergic to almond flour, and that always gets me. So I created the cauliflower crust. And then somebody says, that's too much of a pain in the ass because cauliflower is a pain to work with. So then I invented the pork rind pizza crust. And so I have these variations. And then I've turned those into, we can now make a calzone. We can now make a flatbread. We can make these different things with
How close can your almond flour pizza get to pizza?
It gets there. It's not gonna. You're not gonna be like in Napoli with that pull. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gluten gives that binding that makes that bread do that crispy, crunchy, flaky thing.
Right.
You're never going to be able to replicate that even with just gluten-free bread, much less cutting out all the grains. But it gets there for a thin crust pizza. If you're doing a pizza night and you're trying to stay on plan, it works. It's really good. Again, I don't publish duds. Like, I want the food to taste really good, because you're not going to keep people around eating this way. If you're like, have a piece of boiled fish and, 4 pieces of broccoli with nothing on it. Like that, just, the bacon broccoli is good. Put pork products on vegetables and then see how fast your kids will eat them.
I got to say, I've never thought I would say this in my life. I'm starting to get a little burnt out on bacon.
Are you? I've been burnt out on bacon for a while.
A super treat when I was a kid. It was sometimes for breakfast, but only on this day. And my mom wouldn't buy bacon because meat is murder after all. And all these things. And at some point, it started showing up in different places. And now I find myself going to a steakhouse, getting Brussels sprouts, and it's doused in bacon pits. And I'm like, I'm literally like, it's like me saying, I'm burnt out on blowjobs. I'm taking a break. I never thought I'd say it. Like I've never thought I'd say it. I'm eating around the bacon. It's just too much. Like somebody just went, we're gonna fucking give you bacon. We're giving you fucking bacon, and they've gone. It's always, it's a little bit of an apology. It's sometimes it's sort of like,
are you apologizing to Big Bacon?
I'm saying, make me some Brussels sprouts that are awesome,
just really
and
awesome.
can't cover everything in bacon, because if you cover everything in bacon, that's you saying you like bacon.
Okay.
How are you going to make me awesome
I have a
Brussels
sprout leek casserole that puts basically cream. It's based on an old French recipe. They would poach everything in cream, right?
Okay.
So you poach Brussels sprouts, leeks, and a little bit of apple and some cream. You don't need your bacon. It's really good.
What do you mean poaching cream? I'm not.
So
I'm
poaching is just boiling a liquid and then you cook something in it. So when you poach eggs, you have boiled water and then you put the egg in and it cooks in the boiled water. So that's poaching.
I see.
So you're just poaching something in cream.
Do you take cream and boil it?
Well, you pour it over and you roast it in the oven, so it's in effect
Oh,
boiling
you roast
the
it in
vegetables.
the oven. You're not.
Right.
When I think poaching, I think
You can poach. You could
So-
certainly poach chicken in milk or cream.
So you
Absolutely, it's really good.
You make a reduction, sort of.
Nope.
No,
You're literally
but it-
submerging it in the cream.
Oh wow!
So I could
I'm
take
gonna try it.
It's really good.
cream,
Okay.
put it in a pot, and put
the Brussels sprouts
in it, and
Hell
cook
yeah.
it that way.
Yeah,
Sick.
do it.
Really?
Okay.
Get in there.
And then when it's out, and I get the Brussels sprouts out, what do I do?
Eat them.
Let me write
You put
this
them in
down.
your face hole.
No searing in a pan or adding olive oil
You could
or
do an
something.
extra step. I like to do it in the oven because then the oven naturally kind of gives it that caramelization of the vegetables on top, so you get that little bit of a crunch on there.
Poached. And what do we cook if we're we're taking our Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
We cut them in half.
I love that we're going balls deep on Brussels sprouts.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
like-
We're gonna
love
figure this
Brussels
out.
sprouts
Okay.
over here.
I like Brussels sprouts, but I'm tired of the bacon,
It's
and
a
I'm
lot.
tired of
It's the smoke, by the way. That's my theory. They've over smoked the bacon, and it's hard to have that all the time. That's my theory.
I agree, and also I don't want al dente Brussels sprouts. I want
nobody
them
enjoys
fucking
that.
cooked.
Nobody enjoys
You
that.
go to the steakhouse, the Brussels sprouts are half cooked and they're covered with bacon, and now they're like crunchy Brussels sprouts that have bacon all over them. I'm not enjoying myself.
That's a lazy Sue right
It's
there.
all
They don't
everywhere
wanna-
now.
They don't want to finish
I
it.
cut them in half. I put them on a tray, and I pour cream over the top of them.
No, take a casserole dish.
Casserole dish.
I just trying to get you to say the word casserole, but yes,
Casserole dish.
Take a
Yes.
casserole dish.
Uh-huh.
Put your Brussels sprouts and cut up some leeks or onion or whatever, because I like to have another little flavor in there.
Okay.
Pour the cream over it liberally.
It doesn't need to
Salt,
be
pepper.
submerged
Yeah,
in
so-
cream.
Sure,
Little bit.
a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, not like swimming.
halfway.
It's not floating. But if you take a thing of, I don't know what I'd have to get my other cookbook what
Quart
it calls for. I just
or
do it.
half
You just
quart?
do it. You just not a quart.
No, half quart, like a pint.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I guess
a pint is 2 cups, right? So maybe like
I
a
think
little
a half
over
a-
half of that pint.
Is a half a Dawson? Is a pint half a quart? Yeah,
2 pints.
4
in a quart. Right.
cups in a quart. So 2 pints in a
pint-
quart.
4 pints are in a half gallon. Oh, who the hell knows? There's pint quart. I don't know. But
I
put it
blame
over the
English
top and
people
bake
for
it. Yes,
telling us the wrong things.
I agree.
Put it over the top, bake it, season it. I cut a little apple, like a whatever apple. Everyone buys an apple. You're like, I'm going to eat this apple, and then it just sits there. Use the apple. Okay, hold on. 1 pint is half a quart, so that's right. So because 4 cups is a quart, I do know that.
Wait, one
So 2
pint?
cups is a pint.
Yeah, 4. Yeah.
Wait, one
A pint is 16 ounces.
pint.
2 pints is a quart.
All right, I was right though, didn't I say that?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone's right. I'm just more right. Okay, so
Thou art more right.
you sprinkle it over. How long in the oven?
Let's say 350 to 375 temp, and then do it for. I would cover it for 30 minutes so that it can really bubble without evaporating. And then you can uncover it for about 10, 15 minutes and get that color on it. That's what I would do.
That's what I-
Everyone's
try.
oven is different. Pro tip: if it's not cooking, if your oven isn't cooking the way that cookbooks tell you, your temperature is lying to you. You can get a little oven temperature thing and hang it in there, and it will tell you the truth about what your oven's doing.
Now I hear, although people don't like electric stoves, but I hear the electric ovens are better for that than
agree.
gas. Is that true?
I have a dual oven with the burners, the gas burners, and then 2 electric stoves underneath it. Love them. They do the convection. Great. No complaints.
Do the electric stove
yeah.
the electric oven.
Oven.
And
If they
cooktop's
still let
gas.
you do a cooktop with gas, I still am not convinced that. I don't understand, and I don't know how that became a political issue. But I'm
yeah.
furious that they tried to
There's
take away my gas.
There's a new thing where Karen Bass is gonna not issue permits unless
Right.
you go all electric, which is electric water heaters are not great, and electric dryers aren't great, and most cooktops aren't great. And also, we don't have a power grid in California,
No.
so I don't know why you guys keep talking about electric cars and electric.
It's not going to sustain it.
You talk about electric 18-wheelers and electric leaf blowers and electric stoves and electric houses, and we don't have a grid. So
yeah, I don't know. It's going to get bad. I went from LADWP to PG&E, so it's even worse.
I want to say to all these assholes, look, how about you get your grid together, and when you get your grid together, then come back and we can talk about all your insane mandates.
Mind your grid.
Mind your fucking grids and queues, bitches. Don't fucking tell us we got to get, by the way, at least they're not telling us we have to get into an electric car anymore. They're burning them, but they use gas for that.
I'm sure
Works
that's
for that.
wonderful for the environment.
Yes, I'm just saying, get your grid sorted out, and then we'll talk about electrifying the house.
Yeah. I want a gas stovetop. I just am spoiled and I enjoy cooking that way. And I will ignore any science because I want I have my confirmation bias about my gas stove. God damn it.
I will say this. Okay. I was with the LG people in Vegas at the big show.
Yeah.
And he's showing the electric cooktop with the infrared, whatever.
Well, that's the induction though.
Yeah, I think it's induction.
Induction's supposed to be cool.
I think most women are a little like, I don't know, I like to see the flame, I like to know where I'm at with the thing, right? It's tactile, they made cars for a little while with a digital tachometer. But people rejected them. They want to see the needle. You see the needle. Like every race car I have just has a needle because you see it. Digitally, it wouldn't work as well, even though that would be technology.
No.
So I said, how? He goes, oh, it works real good. But and the cleanup is real good too because it's one sheet of glass.
Right.
And you can put your hand on it, wouldn't burn. It's induction or whatever you're saying. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I've never used one, but people swear by them.
I said to the guy, I asked the question that all America once answered. I just said to him, he's like, oh yeah, this is better.
Yeah.
I go, okay, but answer me this. If I get a big-ass pot of water, what boils faster, big open flame or this? And he goes, oh, this is a lot faster.
Interesting.
And I was like, that's interesting because with that pot sitting there, when you go big on that pot, you got that flame licking up all the way around. 20 minutes later, you still put your hand in there. Like it takes a while.
It's true, especially if you have a big lobster pot. Yep.
Takes a minute to do that big lobster pot.
It does.
And he said this induction thing, that thing will be real fast. And I was like, that's your pitch. Because it's not really scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who cares with that? It's this pot.
It's a giant pot of water.
It's a giant pot of water,
yeah,
and it needs to be boiled.
It needs to be boiled.
Tell me what you guys think of this, talking about eating. I know
I'm
people...
I'm pro-eating. I like to eat.
Well, you should be able to... You'll be qualified to answer
Okay,
this
thank
question.
you.
There are people that take their leftovers home. This happened here with...
From the restaurant.
From the restaurant.
Okay.
This happened here with French fries the other day.
Oh, where I wouldn't take those.
I said to somebody... Here's French fries. Eat these French fries. And they said, yeah, I'm going to put them. I said, just pop them in the microwave. He goes, no, I'm going to put them in the toaster oven.
Oh,
and I thought,
I get that.
I go, that's good, but I don't have that kind of self-esteem. The toaster oven people who do it right.
You would
know
microwave
what I mean? I microwave every leftover thing, but smart people with high self-esteem do it in the toaster oven. Like if they'll do it with a sandwich, like a half a hamburger or fries or whatever.
I do everything on the stove.
You do everything on the stove.
I do my leftovers on the stove.
How would you reanimate fries?
I would do it on the stove. I'd pour a little olive oil in there and I would toss it till it was crispy. But that's because I will microwave certain things. If you have chicken in the microwave, I think it tastes horribly gamey and rubbery. So I don't like putting any meat leftovers in the microwave. I think it's gross. So I don't even think that's a self-esteem issue. I think that's a taste issue. Are your taste buds okay?
I don't feel like I'm good enough for the toaster oven.
I feel like it's a lot of effort.
You might not be.
To put it in the stove is a lot of effort where you're doing something and the microwave is like beep, 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 walk away.
but also too, I'm usually mixing other things in, or maybe I'll take the leftovers and just put eggs on it.
You're
You
just
can put
a
eggs
better
on anything.
person.
Yeah.
Listen, I will take it because I haven't heard that in a while. So thank you.
You feel good about yourself.
Thank you.
So you would heat up a steak that you brought home from a steakhouse by putting it in a pan?
I would slice it because I will get the sear on the slices. So like I would always order a steak medium rare.
Right.
And then when I'm cooking the leftovers, I'll slice it and it'll just be like mostly well done. And
a little
that's okay.
olive oil in there?
Yeah, put olive oil or butter. Butter's great with steaks.
All right, Anna, let me give you a plug. Eat Happy Kitchen. Great products. I ordered them at retail. Now I'm getting some for free.
That's right.
And we go to eathappykitchen.com as well. The podcast, Bedside Matters. Am I right?
Fitness Confidential.
And Fitness Confidential. And the cookbook, the
Eat Happy
best-selling.
Italian, my latest.
Yeah, it's good stuff, Anna. Doing the Lord's work. Give my love to Vinny.
I will. Thank you for
see him.
having me.
My pleasure. All right, I'm going to be doing stand-up April 11th and April 12th, and that's in San Diego at the American Comedy Club. And until next time, it's Adam, Brandon, Leonarda, and Mayhem saying mahalo.